Okay, okay. I messed up there. Now we're live on YouTube. Okay, so YouTube kind of missed out on what we went through. I'm gonna go through that again. YouTube is gonna stay there forever. All right, so this is Kane. If you haven't you don't know what I did, I've made mods, fairly popular ones. I've also made an RPG. Well, I mean, been making it for 6 years now, uh, and it's nowhere near finished. So, no effects. Big bada boom. And I've also made trees for AI, which I enjoy doing. Rabbit life cycle, good fun. All right, and then we have Anuraj, who made a mobile FPS. He is one of our developers. And then we have Green Laser, who is from Estonia. Anuraj is from India. And we have Green Laser from Estonia. He is a prop modeler as well as a Unity developer. And you can see all the cool stuff. He likes making guns. And that skill set was going to be useful, but not anymore. We just found out the theme, and it's no violence, which basically means every idea we had coming into this is out the window. Alrighty, so that's Green Laser. Moving on. Oh yeah, this is his game. So if you want to check out his game, he's got builds. It's also it's got a GitHub link as well there. Go check it out. Well, head coming into this is there you go. All right, and next up we've got Makilev, which is from Ukraine. We were going to do a game about Ukraine. I have this elaborate design, but now it's busted. So Makilev, his name is Vitaly. He is from Ukraine. His family is still in Kharkiv, so we have hired him for this project. And we were going to do a game about Ukraine to raise funds for Ukraine. That's out the window now. I mean, we can still think of a game that might make sense, but we'll have to go brainstorming. It's not. Right, this is Vitaly's art station if you want to check him out. All right. Okay, and last of all, we have Maxim Sveti. He is a talented musician, and he's also going to be working on our sound design, sound effects, and all that stuff. He's originally from Nepal, but he was born in Russia, and he currently resides in Austria. So very cool, all over the world. So initially, I had a design uh, based on that 40-kilometer Russian convoy. Uh, but that's out the window. I have an elaborate game design document. Very elaborate game design document. And that's not going to work now. So I'm going to share this whiteboard. And we're going to start brainstorming, and we'll see if we can come up with a new game design, because it's now so the theme for this game jam is no violence. So completely screwed here now.
Please feel free to post over there. If you will be using Unity to do for Game Jam 4 is no violence. Interpret the theme as you will and get started with developing your game. We will be providing
so
support.
No violence is the theme. No violence. So we have to think of a game design that doesn't have violence. I've never thought of a game that doesn't have violence. So everything I've thought of is like, guns or swords or, magic. So those of you, yeah, we'll have to think of a new idea, because completely out the window now. All the plans we had, all gone. So we'll have to think of a new one. So no violence. What can we do? Also, we have to bear in mind that there's only 2.5 days, right? From now and then until Sunday, we only have 2.5 days to develop a game. So it can't be too elaborate. It can't be too complex. It can't be some kind of, elaborate narrative-driven game. I mean, we could do a narrative-driven game, but it's going to be very hard to pull off. I'm not sure how we're gonna do it. So let's just start with some ideas. What do you guys think? Hey, is everybody here? I hope everybody's at least in the chat or Twitch. Hey, what's up, Budgie? Going to Stardew Valley about helping. Yeah, every game is violent these days, right? But anyway, there's games that don't have violence, but it's gonna be complicated. Well, we have to think of a game that's at least fun to play. So, game about helping others, no violence. Yeah, but helping others, like how? How are we going to help others? Anyway, I shared this whiteboard link. You can click it, and then you can all click on the thing. Basically, it's a shared whiteboard without any logging requirements. Sports game. That is true. We could make a sports game. We could make a sports game about the world's greatest sport. Game development. No, I'm kidding. Games, no, it's not sport. Something with balls. Some kind of goofy golf game, or some kind of football game. These could be really complicated, though. Be really complicated. Arcade to goals, goals, golf. There are lots of golf simulators, though. Lots of golf simulators. There are even lots of goofy golf simulators. The kind where you hit the ball and then the ball turns out to be like super hard and then the guy flies instead. I've seen a lot of like kind of goofy golf games. Tons of them. There are tons of them. So I don't think we'll be able to make anything like super unique in 2 days. I don't know if narrative-driven games could work. Because, narrative-driven games means we have to sit down for like a day, write a script, a story, and the story could suck. And then you'll be spending all this time making a story that may not even be any good. Because you have to rush, right? I mean, not like all of us are writers, novelists, or what. So none of us have this kind of experience. We write like an elaborate narrative storyline thingy, it's not guaranteed to be any good. Increment game with a mental game twist. Incremental. Idea's terrible. That's alright. I had a great idea. I had a great idea to make a game to help Ukraine. It was a tower defense game that has cool stuff. And we had zombies instead of Russians so that nobody feels butthurt when they get killed. It was gonna be fun. The stuff made. Anyway, that's not gonna work now. Act peaceful. The moment you do something violent, you lose. Idle games. Wait. Idle games? Idle games have action too, have combat. They just don't let you actually control anything. Right? Act peaceful. The moment we do something violent, I don't know. This theme definitely threw us a curveball. Now I completely lost because I was dead set on making a zombie shooter type game, and now we have nothing. This is now busted. Oh dear. Sports idol game. Frustrate the player by encouraging him to do something violent. Does something violent, he loses. That could work. No violence, man. No violence. Oh man, that is so hard to design around. Yeah, stuff like this happens a lot. This is the first time I've done a game jam, so I didn't know they'd do something like that. I was like hoping they don't do rainbow unicorns or something like that, and it turned out really it is rainbow unicorns. The theme is rainbow unicorns. We can't fight. No combat. Oh my god. Oh my god, no combat. How about a flight simulator? Nah, not really. I don't know. Complicated. Gotta think, guys. We gotta think. Yes, you guys. Traffic simulator? Deliver pizza all over the city. Okay, that could work. There are tools to let you procedurally generate a city. Get into a traffic accident game. Yeah, but it's very complicated. You need traffic. You need to have vehicles, and then vehicles need to have logic to drive around and stop and slow down, and this is a lot of work. I mean, you can probably do it in a week or two, but in 2 days, that's a lot of work. Let's throw up all our ideas. Let's just throw up all our ideas. Use spreadsheet. I mean, you guys can use the whiteboard too. Let's see. New game. All right, so delivery game. Delivery game. Yeah, that's one idea. Let's make it a bit bigger. Nobody can see. Football career mode. Idle game. Create a coach, create a team, idle way through the season. Alright. Football manager game. That's actually kind of doable because you can simulate everything. You know, you can simulate the matches, and simulation can be as mundane or as super complex as you want because nobody actually sees the simulation. It all happens in the background. So your simulation could be a roll of dice and then somebody wins, you know? It could be really, really simple. It's not impossible. But to make it fun is maybe challenging. Think of an idea where we have to stop any kind of violence. How about this? I'm just spitballing here, but how about this? How about a game where you play as a protester to prevent violence? So you're basically leading a group of protesters to block. Okay, let me just like I lost the game. I sure did. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. All right. Okay. Now, seriously. Okay. How about this idea? Okay. First of all, we have violent group A, right? And then we have violent group B, right? And you play as a protester that is, like leading a mob try to prevent Group A from meeting Group B. If they meet, they fight and you lose. So you're supposed to like move your people to body block and prevent Group A from touching Group B, because then the violent groups will clash and die and lose the game. What do you think? What do you think? This violent mob can be, lots of little. I mean, this is like the protester group, right, or something. I don't know, peace group or non non-violent protesters or something. Basically, be like mobs of people. We could use this thing called voids, and we could make like blobs of people that you have to insert between the two violent groups to prevent them from fighting. Yeah, it's the theme is non-violence, right? So basically, we would be 100% smack on the team if we do something that prevents violence. Not just non-violent, but preventing violence. Right? So preventing Group A from meeting. Okay, anyway, this we can put down as an idea. Preventing violent groups from fighting game. Protester game? I don't know, something like that. Okay, next idea. The longer you survive, the more difficult it gets. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an AI driven game, which I also like to do. So like Group A can also be a bunch of people, and they're walking, and then Group B is another bunch of violent people, and they're walking. I mean, we could play as like the police or something, or the riot squad or something, but that sounds violent, right? If you play as the police, they have shields and batons, they're beating people up. It sounds violent to begin with. We're trying to prevent violence, right? So instead of like shields and batons, they'll hold like signs. They walk around holding signs to try to prevent the two groups from clashing. How will we prevent violence? We prevent violence with our bodies, of course. We will use our bodies to prevent violence. Clearly the best way to do it. Possibly the only way to do it. I don't know. Just throwing up some ideas. We can keep going down the list of ideas, coming up with some stuff, and then we'll think about it. So, delivery game, like maybe pizzas, football game, idle game. I don't know, something. It doesn't have to be an idle game. You can be an active game. You can go in and like build your football team kind of thing, like championship manager or football manager kind of thing. Although those games are very good, so it's very hard to compete with games like that. Yeah, I think sports games are difficult. They're difficult. Difficult to make something that is worth playing compared to like the state of the art AAA types. Bamboo. I don't know. Having police in a game already does not sound non-violent, because police are kind of known for being violent, for using too much force. I don't know. I don't know. We want to play as the police. They're kind of known to be violent. So if we make it like a protester type game, we'll have to think of the right groups. So like, I mean, we definitely don't want us to be playing the police, right? Because it sounds like, violent people come at you. What do police do? They beat them up. So that's nothing. There's nothing non-violent about that. They beat down violence with more violence. Solve the problem of violence with more violence. I don't think that's solving any problems there. So Yeah, I don't know that's gonna work. Spaceship, avoid any. I mean, we can do a space game that doesn't involve fighting. We can do a space game, like what are those games? They're space exploration games. Space exploration game. I definitely don't want to make any kind of platformer type game though, so no platformers for me. I just don't like those kinds of games. Space exploration could be possible. A space exploration adventure game that can be narrative driven and procedural, right? Um, yeah, yeah. How about that? Okay, so how about something like FTL but without the fighting? Like FTL, you travel from one spot. Have you guys ever played FTL? Let me just real quick. Faster Than Light or the new version of it? FTL. Okay, so FTL is, well, I haven't played much here, but it's a game about um going from place to place. It's got combat in it, but we strip out the combat and just focus on the story generation, going from place to place. Like Star Trek, going from planet to planet and solving problems, that kind of thing. So we can be in space, we can generate a procedural path. So the best thing about the FTL was the whole roguelite elements where you go, you choose there's a map and then you travel around. Well, this game, this demo isn't showing the map, which is actually, it's not showing much of it. But basically, we could make it sort of a space exploration kind of game where we are in charge of a spaceship, like Star Trek. Star Trek without violence, we can do Star Trek, go around, help the natives, like be cool space alien people and help other alien species instead of killing them, like cool people do. FTL Stardew Valley. I've never played Stardew Valley, so that's like phew, right by. I don't know it. But something like that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the concept? Like just a spaceship flying around, and every time you arrive in a new planet, you have a story thing, a narrative thing, a quest or something, and then you have to find out how to solve it. And of course, we'll not use violence because it's a non-violent thing. So it'll be like a spaceship, narrative-driven, storyline-driven game. Now I know how to do that. I have some concepts on how to execute something like this. I have tools to do that. I can have hours and hours of voice acting in it to narrate the story. And then it could be, like, FTL is great because of its procedural nature. All the things that happen are very random, but then you find ways to solve them. You need all these questions, They ask you all these things, and you just, you find your way through it. And all we have to do is strip out the combat mechanic, the combat system, and replace it with a problem-solving mechanic where you have to use, your characters have to have certain skills to solve problems instead of fight. Like maybe you need a certain engineer with certain skills in order to help the natives with the problem they're having, fix their FTL drive, or I don't know, something like that. Story-based, narrative-driven. Fail the game if you attack someone. Yeah, you could fail the game if you attack someone. They said no combat, right? Puzzle pieces. Yeah, puzzle pieces. Like there must be some overarching like objective, right? Like what are we here for? What is our spaceship here to do? What that makes we can write some story about it. Like, okay, our objective is to find the source of this puzzle, this alien puzzle. Okay, maybe we can just make up a story like, oh, we found a piece of some alien artifact on Earth, and then we built a spaceship to go searching for the answers to this mystery, and then along the way we discover all these stories and these other things. But the main story is that we are trying to solve the puzzle of the artifact. That can be our overarching storyline. We travel around the galaxy looking for this, trying to solve this mystery. Yeah, traveling through space, helping aliens, not fighting. That could be doable. And then you build a crew with the skills, and you're trying to keep people happy. How about it's kind of like RimWorld. Have you guys played RimWorld? If you haven't played RimWorld, you really got to check it out. It's one of the best games ever made. I've got too many hours in it. Like, okay, I've got way too many hours, and I was a Kickstarter backer, so I have like 2,000 hours before it even hit Steam. So RimWorld's cool thing is that you have all these characters, and not all of them are perfect. You know, one guy could be a leper, one guy could be missing an arm, one guy could be a cripple, one guy could have dementia. They have all these problems and they have these skills, and you're trying to build a group that will solve problems together. But it's all mainly combat-based problems. You know, you're solving problems because you keep getting attacked, and you know you have to find ways around that. But if we strip out the whole combat mechanic, we can still use these character interactions. You know, some characters are bad at certain things but good at other things. So we take this element, we put that in our FTL flying solving problem game, and then that's it. We're in a ship. We're trying to keep our crew happy, and they're going to be upset at each other, and you know there'll be little events that trigger, and it could be because so RimWorld's cool because it builds itself as a procedural story generator. Why does it say that? Because things happen that you don't expect. Nothing is actually planned. Like you recruit this guy, and then this guy is a pyromaniac, and then when he gets upset, he goes and starts fires, and somehow you're fighting these bad guys, and you know your guy goes crazy and starts a fire and burns your entire base down. And it's a hilarious story because it totally wasn't scripted and unexpected and all that. So we could take the same element of people being imperfect people in our little spaceship, creating drama, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. But it's a ship, and you're the captain, and you're trying to keep everybody happy to complete the overarching goal of solving the alien mystery. How's that sound? Yeah, some kind of RimWorld FTL space blend. RimWorld is already sort of a game in space, except it doesn't actually take place in space, it takes place on the ground. But we could do like a space RimWorld in space, an actual spaceship, going around solving problems, trying to keep a crew happy, and they'll all have all these procedural elements. We can randomize their stats, randomize their skills, give them traits. You know, this guy's dementia, that guy's a cripple. You know, that kind of thing. We can do that. Not hard to do too. Come up with a list, and we can just do that. All right. So, where were we? Oh, right. So, okay. So, FTL plus RimWorldy thingy in spaceship. Okay. All right. So let's think of one more decent idea, and then we can kind of make up a mind. We only have 2.5 days to do this, so we don't have all the time in the world. We kind of have to just do it, even if the idea sort of sucks. I mean, you have 2 days. I mean, what kind of idea we can pull off, right? Do I have to? Well, I guess you could go without a hat if like 5 characters. Yeah, something like that, right? So you have like the engineer, you have like the shield operator thingy. Or you don't maybe we don't have shield operator because there's no combat in this game, right? So what's the shield for? Oh, but maybe the shield is for preventing people from killing you. But that means there's combat. How about like anti-asteroid? So you need the shields because you need to protect from asteroids or something. But we'll think of it, right? You definitely have something like the captain, and then you have like the navigator, and then you have your science officer. Let's just steal everything that Star Trek has, right? You got like the science officer, you got the medical officer. You know, we got all these roles, right? And then you're basically trying to find the guy with the right skills to do that role. And every time you arrive in a new place, then it's like Star Trek, right? There's a new adventure. You either have to find out what's wrong with this civilization or this planet, or some weird thing happen. Just whatever it is, we just can't have combat, right? So we just think of other things that can happen that has no combat. Anyway, more ideas. Let's throw up some more ideas before we decide on anything. what else can we do? What else can we do? Although this FTL remote thing is so compelling, I want to just go do that already. But let's just throw up some more ideas. See if there's anything else that you guys can think of that we can do in effectively two days. No, this game jam starts at the worst possible time for me, right? It's almost 3 a.m. for me. This is time to go to sleep, and it's the time the game jam starts. So we're gonna start working right away, although there isn't really much time. Yeah, so basically, if effectively for me at least, it's only 2 days. So we can't get too complicated. It has to be an achievable thing, and I think a RimWorld spaceship thingy is definitely achievable. Think about the assets you need to make. You need to make a spaceship. You need a character model. Maybe aliens, or maybe no aliens. I mean, I don't know. Maybe thinking about it. So it's narrative driven, procedural story generation, spacey thing. Yeah. All right, let's put it up for a vote. Let's see. Let's we can get more ideas. Precedent. Trying to prevent the war between. Yeah, a bad idea. But who do you play? That's not a bad idea. Let's keep working on this idea as well. Okay. So let's think about it. Okay, so if you are someone in between, so you can't be NATO, you can't be US because they're all biased. Um, who is neutral to try to prevent the war? The Red Cross. Nah, they didn't really do anything to prevent war anyway. They do things to save people, but they don't stop a war. They love games that are absolute chaos in you. That's true. I love games like that too. But the theme of this game jam is no violence. So we're participating in this game jam. And
No violence. And
no violence is the game theme. So basically, and that's 30% of the vote. Creative use of the game, the jam's theme. So if you don't do a game that follows the theme, you're probably not gonna do very well. That's 30% of the rating, the vote. So yeah, let's try to do something that fits the theme. So at least it makes sense, right? Otherwise, why join a game jam? You gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so we think about that concept. I like the idea of that. The idea of like trying to prevent the war between Russia and Ukraine. So we're kind of relevant, we're kind of relevant. We're still trying to help Ukraine in a way, and it's non-violent, so that's also good. But how? How do we? Because this is pretty important. Like, who do you play? In what role? And how do you prevent a war between them? You can't really prevent the war between them. The war's already broken out. We can try to stop the war, but I don't know of an organization that can stop a war. Yeah, vibe but potato. We are doing a jam, and the jam says no violence. So while I love games that do all that, no violence means Air Bears, there. Yeah, we just can't have violence. So we'll have to think about it. Like if you probably tuned in a bit late, I had this really complicated tower defense game I was going to build. I still want to build this game. But we'll have to do it after the game jam because the game jam, no violence. I've got this very interesting, very fun, potentially very fun tower defense design, and now we can't use it because no violence means, yeah, no violence. So let's think of something new. Resource management? Yeah, resource management is good. A lot of the resource management games I play are violent. Like, Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron. It's a war game. It's also resource management. You could do something like a match tree game, match three tiles in a row and then you destroy it. But those kind of games are really boring. And there's like a billion clones of these kinds of games out there. I want something at least original, right? Somewhat original. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, I mean that theme just completely threw me off. I thought that I mean I would have a bunch of ideas that I could use, but no violence means I would have to design a game that I normally won't play. But the Star Trek thingy I would play because it's fun. If you have like Rimworldy stuff, then it's fun to me. Because Rimworld was always fun, not just because of the violence, but because it was fun trying to make a group of ragtag characters work. All the crazy things that happen when you have some ragtag characters, always been hilarious. Rimworld really does its job as a procedural story generator. So if we do like a spaceship version with the Rimworldy procedural story generation, thing is to make it compelling, violence would have been necessary. Like bad guys attacking you, and you have to find ways to defend yourself. That would have been compelling. But without violence, we still have to make something like this work. But without violence as a compelling glue to hold the plot together, there is some challenge for that for sure. You make a turn-based RPG type game. Yeah, but RPGs are basically violent. Kill monster, get XP, get loot. So yeah, it wouldn't fit the team either. I can see that working though. I can see that working. Like, okay, it's a it'll become a political game. It'll be kind of political game, and then okay, we have to make it up like some kind of make believe United Nations kind of thing, where the United Nations has the ability to end the war, but then you have to get all the voters to back your what do you call those things? Memorandums, propositions? I don't know. What do you call whatever you call them in the United Nations. Basically, it become a political game where you are the controller of an unknown country or whatever, and you have to go around convincing all the other countries to vote for this memorandum to end the war or something like that. Spore, the game has no violence and it's fun. It does have violence, doesn't it? You swim around and then things attack you. I kind of recall there being violence in Spore. Wasn't there violence? I remember when swimming around as a sperm or something, you get attacked. Is there no violence? I don't know. I haven't played that in like a decade, so I'm sure now. Killing, right? I kind of recall things attacking you and you have to attack them back. Then you have to evolve. These are Maxim, that's gonna be hard to pull off. How do take Paul? Nah, no worries, man, no worries. It's good to bring up ideas. It's good to bring ideas. I would like to encourage more ideas being thrown up. If you have some weird, obscure game that you remembered that was non-violent and still fun, let us know. Bring it up. I was hoping to get at least like 5 ideas before we like settle on something. But right now, I'm kind of liking this story and some kind of story generator in spaceship. But there are a lot of things that can happen in spaceship. It's a little hot pot of drama in there, right? Everyone's watched some Star Trek or Star Wars, or whatever. People in a ship, they don't get along. Things happen, drama, and you just have to deal with the drama. It's fun, or at least it can be. Iris, not non-violent because we are taking part in this game jam. I'll link it here. Basically, that's the theme. Violence. Yeah, what's up, Sock? Yeah, so the theme of the game jam is no violence. Let me just play it again.
For now, we'd like to announce this weekend's Game Jam theme. The theme for Game Jam 4 is No Violence. Interpret.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. No violence. Now that we know there's no violence, all the game ideas I had in mind. I had one very fleshed out idea. I have a lot of ideas, but I have one very fleshed out. I wrote the design doc for it, and that's not gonna work because it involves killing zombies. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Unfortunately. Cool idea though. But we'll have to do it after the game jam. We need to do stuff that is um non-violent. Yeah. Anyway, Maxim has to leave soon. So what's your vote, Maxim, before you leave? At least we know your position. What do you like the most of the current ideas we have? FTL removal? Okay. Alright, so in case you have to leave before we come up with another idea. Political game where you fight for women's rights. Current. Yeah, that's fine, but let's think about that. Okay, let's flesh that out a bit. Political game where you fight for women's rights. How are you going? How is the gameplay loop? So it's a little bit. It sounds like a little bit like the United Nations game that I was just talking about. Like we tried to convince all the world leaders to back your idea to end the war, that kind of thing. Fight for women's rights. How would you do that? You have to influence the media, of course. I don't know. I mean, sounds like gameplay is going to be really hard. Interesting idea, but the gameplay would be really hard. Like you have to make it fun. The gameplay loop has to be fun. Yeah, I can't think of how that can be fun. Factorio, yeah, Factorio is it's a game without violence, right? Factory automation type game. That kind of game is a huge amount of work, though. I don't think you can do that in a 2 day. Because we only have effectively 2 days to work on this game. Yeah, there are some pretty good factory, automation type games. It's just because these kinds of games are really hard to develop because you have these really complex building chains and complex mechanics. It's not going to be very easy to make this kind of game in 2 days. Lawyer that was hired for the case have to make arguments to win over the judge. Whoa, that's going to be super hard, man. So that sounds like it's a very like fixed narrative type game. So you play it once and then it's done. I like to make procedural games. I like to make games where you might have played 100 hours of it, but you're still coming back for more because you're always you're always expecting something different to happen this time. So I like procedural games because for the amount of effort invested, you get a huge amount of playtime. People can just keep playing it over and over again because they hope that it'll go better next time. That to me is what makes the FTL Rimworldy thing the most compelling because it's very easy to make this very procedural. You go from planet to planet, random events trigger, random events happen. Your crew may or may not be able to handle the events that happen, and maybe one of them gets upset or gets kidnapped by aliens and something like that. So there are a lot of things that can happen that can keep the gameplay very interesting and compelling. But I would like another idea. So if anyone has any ideas, throw it up. Throw it up. We will definitely at least consider it. Factory automation. Let me just go through my list of games. Oh, somebody responded. Hang on a second. Ah, I have an artist who wants to join. Yeah, might as well take him. Oh, he may not be online now. Let's see. Join. Have I made a fully fleshed out game? I have, but I haven't finished any game because the games I design are just massive. Like this game is one of the simplest games I've ever designed. It's a tower defense game. Tower defense game. You're playing as Ukraine and you're defending Ukraine against a zombie invasion. Got the enemies, mechanics, and then you build buildings to improve your base, provide special abilities, let you recruit things, a lot of very cool things. And then as a tower defense game, you have some special abilities you can trigger during the fighting phase as well. It's a pretty cool game, in my own opinion, of course. Games are only really cool in your head. But when you actually make it, it could be fun, it could be not fun, you know. But in my head it looked pretty interesting. Yeah, and this is one of the simplest games I ever designed. I don't really like simple stuff. I don't play simple games. And because I don't play and have any interest in simple games, I only like complicated games. So this is the simplest game I ever designed. And it's a tower defense game because I like tower defense games, they're pretty fun. And this one has interesting unique mechanics. Yeah. Like combat, I mean the gameplay is split into day mode and night mode. In the day, you build things, you move your units around, and when it switches to night mode, your units are locked in place. So it's like tower defense, but you're soldiers, right? So you can move the soldiers around in the day, but at night they cannot move. And then zombie waves start spawning and coming at you. And then you fight. Yeah, so a lot of cool mechanics. I don't really watch anime, so a lot of that stuff will just go right by. Anyway, it seems the contrast is a bit better if I have a dark thing here. So let's just put this dark so that you guys have better way to read chat on screen if you're playing if you're watching this full screen. All right, so let me get up on chat. Quentin's idea is a trafficking game. Develop just products. Taxes. Ones from trafficking game. Base game is very easy to code. Your workload depends on how many mechanics you add on top of it. You just start with buy, travel, sell as the base mechanic. So it's a trading game. I like trading games. That's the game you intend to build for mobile. Intending to learn Flutter, so I figured it would be a nice, easy. Feel free to use it. Alright. Hey, trading games are not bad, but I like trading games that have combat. I tend to like trading games that have combat, like Mountain Blade, Warband, Bannerlord. Like trading games that have combat just seem the most compelling to me. Oh, wait. You love management type games lately? Car game idea. Car game idea. Violence. Walls. And you get way. Yeah, but there's violence in it, Mr. Bra. Violence in it. That's the problem, right? Because they want a game. I mean, the theme is no violence. Doesn't matter if you're the one doing violence, right? You're just not supposed to have violence. A roguelike where you slowly gain abilities such as freeze and push, while the enemies will chase you for hugs and slowly get resistance to chase you down. Chase you. Freeze and push. So basically, right, so it's a running away game. That's interesting. That's interesting. So it's like a third person kind of game or even first person where you're just stopping people from touching you. Run away. And you have a scream to stun. Alright. But enemies chasing you means kind of like violence, right? Isn't it violence? Not violence? They're trying to commit violence on you. But they want dogs. They sure do. But but this guy says,
Weekend's Game Jam theme. The theme for Game Jam 4 is no violence.
yeah, no violence. It's a very broad like lockdown because no violence means a lot of games become not viable. Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. There are games you can make without violence, but I want to make a fun game. I want to make an interesting procedural fun game. Rogue-like kind of game, you know? That's because that's the kind of game I like to play. I don't want to be making a game I don't want to play, right? So, got to be some kind of rogue-like procedural type game which gets me the most excited about it. All right, so if we can't find a fifth idea, we'll just vote on the ones we have. Because I can't think of anything else that is like viably interesting to play that is non-violent. But roguelike ideas are great. I mean, there are tons of roguelikes out there, and a lot of them are very different, but most of them have violence in it. Most of them have violence in it. Even the most fun one, Rimworld, has plenty of violence in it. FTL has violence in it. A lot of things have violence in it. It's just a core game mechanic is violence. So not having violence is, I mean, there's plenty of violence in football too. People kicking each other in the head, you know. So much violence in football too. Even sports games are very violent. Rimworldy thingy in space. How would we pull it off without violence and still keep it really compelling? Hmm. I'm not sure. Alright, let's just put it up for a vote. But we don't have all day to decide, so I think we've hit the cap. Like we've spent an hour already, so we'll have to kind of just make up our mind. Let me just set it up for vote and then do what we gotta do. Okay. Poll. Poll. Game and think violent vending by FTL spaceship. All right, that'll do. Set up a poll. Yeah. So vote on the idea you think is most interesting. Adventure games like Subnautica. Oh yeah, that's not bad. That's a pretty good game, but these kinds of games are very, very tedious to work on. This these kind of games require you to go exploring. Like a massive amount of assets is needed. I mean, I don't think we can do something like that in 2 days. Unless it's a very, very short game. I think the space exploration one is the most compelling because we can generate the crew that you have and you can go around and recruit more crew for your spaceship. And every time you go somewhere, a different event can trigger. So we'll spend a lot of time writing event storyline thingies. I think. Anyway, I think. Alright, and then we have procedural everything. Procedural everything. The characters are completely procedural, the stories are procedural, the map is procedural, you know, all the planets are procedural, the aliens are procedural, everything is procedural. So it just makes a situation where you don't know what's gonna happen. You go somewhere, you don't know what's gonna happen. The thing is, I would love for these kinds of games to have violence in them. Maybe we can add the violence after the game jam. After the game jam, we can add violence. But for now, it'll be like non-violent mode, non-violent module. So there's no violence here, but in the future we will add it. Yeah, we have to keep our expectations kind of contained because there's 2 days to work on it. There's not enough hours in the day. So even if you work the entire 2 days, well, I mean, technically it's 2.5 days, but right now it's way past midnight for me. It's 3:30 a.m. So it's gonna be very difficult for me to work that much longer. I'll have to go to bed and then wake up and then do it. So basically, I have lost half a day already. So we have 2 days to do this effectively. And within the 2 days, we have to do all the code, all the art, all the story, user interface. It's a shit ton of work. It's a shit ton of work. Yeah, so we have to keep our expectations kind of, in check. Can't get too crazy with it. But if we want to do like a narrative-driven game, I can do stuff like that. I've done a lot of stuff like that. I mean, stuff that needs to be done for a narrative, story-driven game. I can definitely do that because I have picked up some skills for that kind of game type. My game had a lot of story thingies in there as well. But I think with the FTL Rimworldy spaceship thingy, it's viable as well because you can have interesting narrative storyline stuff in there. Oh, cool. So yeah, so Rimworld got the most votes. Spaceship FTL Rimworldy thing. So let's go work on that. All right, so we have our project already set up. It was called Snake Island. I guess it doesn't matter. Can we just change the name? No, I can't change the name of the project here. It's called Snake Island everywhere. We'll just use this as a code name. Doesn't matter. Was going to be Ukrainians against zombies, but we'll just use this as a code name for our space game. So, I think let me just start. Yeah, I think we're not gonna use Fmod for Unity now. I've decided maybe that's not good. Just install Script Inspector, which is nice little tool which lets me code in the editor without having to leave and go to like VS Code or VS. I like it. Saves a lot of time, and we can code in real time without viewers. Alright, so let's get this done. What else do we need? Well, now that we don't, now that our idea is completely changed, tools we need is also completely different. Completely. So what this does is basically we can write code in engine, without having to go somewhere else. You know, blah blah blah. I can type my code here. It's got IntelliSense. It's got all the good stuff, and I don't have to leave the engine to write code right here. I resize the screens and just work in the editor. So that for me saves a lot of time. I don't have to like bounce off and open up VS Code or yeah. So let me just push this up so you guys can play with it. You don't have to use it if you don't like to. You can just go to your settings and change it. It's in here somewhere, I think. Somewhere. Yeah, there you go. So you can decide, what you want to do, whether you want to load your external editor, all can be set up from here. Which editor do you want to use? You want to use this or you want to use external editors? It's all configurable. But I kind of like it because I like working within the editor and not have to keep bouncing off to a different window. This helps me stay focused. All right, so just thinking of the things we might need. I think we need simple tool called dialogue. Dialogue that we could build our own dialogue system though. I mean that could work. What do you think? Anurag, would you wanna build a dialogue? So there's a package that can do that, but this is a hackathon, right? I mean hack jam, right? We may as well do it ourselves. There's a thing that does that, dialogue system for Unity. So I mean, but you can basically use this to create like dialogue driven gameplay. Like it's not that complex. We could just do this ourselves. Yeah, we don't necessarily need. You're assuming it's going to be a 2. No, it's 3D. It's 3D. I like making 3D games. I like making 3D games. So definitely 3D. What do you mean by player is in God mode? What do you mean by player is in God mode? Oh, here come the bots. Oh wait, Anurag was posting a link. 3D room world. Yeah, 3D room world in space. So we can model a spaceship. We can model a spaceship, and then the player can be in first person, and you run around the ship talking to people. Let me just uh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I get a lot of bots, so I have to have the bot auto ban links. It is unfortunate, but I do get a lot of bots. So let's think about this. What do we need? What tools do we need? We need to build a dialogue system for communications. We need to randomize a lot of stuff. Post a link to Discord. I'm I don't really like that kind of game. Yeah, I've seen that kind of game before. I don't really like casual action games and platformers. Play those kinds of games. I like procedural stuff. I like roguelike kind of games where you don't know what's going to happen. So the whole RimWorld FTL thing kind of works for me too. All right, I've got tons of assets, but we'll try to use as few assets as possible. There's only 2 days though, so if we don't want to build like a dialogue system, we could just use this one. Because I'm not sure how much time we're going to have to actually build out our systems. Because we have a lot of things we need to do as well. Okay, let's just kind of visualize what we're going to need. What are we going to need? Okay, so this is the game. Okay, these three are gone. That's the game. So what do we need? Um, Gameplay. Okay, let's just toss up some ideas for gameplay. So this is just going to be a simple, list of just all the things we want to be able to do in the game. Walk around in spaceship. Talk to crew members. Fly to different planets. Points of interest, POIs. Then do quests, missions to help aliens. Yeah. Them's capitalized. Anything else? I'm gonna just share that link. I posted a link in chat. So I mean in Discord for the developers, so you guys can just fill it up as well. Gameplay thingies. So what do we want to do in this game? We'll just fill it out. Deal with relations. Okay. Manage resources. Resources. Preparing puzzles. Preparing or solving puzzles. Puzzle. Then resources. Fuel. I don't know. Alien materials. Nuclear. I don't know. Resource management. Even trading is possible. Trading. But what's daily necessity? Food and water? Well, if you're on a spaceship, then clearly the spaceship will have food and water, right? Like their own like little garden thingy or something like that. Doesn't seem that it's bigger. Now you just throw out the ideas first, and then you see what makes sense, and then you do them. You don't do every single thing you think of, but we have to figure out like what are we going to do in this game, and figure out what's the most interesting and most fun stuff, and we do those. We don't have to do every single idea for the game. trading with aliens for starvation. I guess that's possible. But you see, fluid is a renewable thing. You can clean up your, you know, waste and then make it drinkable, as they do in space. So even on Earth, you do clean up disposed liquids and turn them into drinkable water. I think I watched it on one of these Netflix documentaries about Bill Gates. He built this machine for the third world, which recycles waste matter into fuel. They turn the shit into fuel that can be used as fertilizer or burned, and they turn the liquid into drinkable water. So this is a big machine, and I think doesn't require any power. Yeah, it's a zero sum machine. I think it uses the fuel gained from burning some stuff. I think the shit or something. They burn it, and it generates fuel to power it. So it generates basically free drinking water. Anyway, water shouldn't be really be an equation in space, because if you fly out into space and you have no way of refining your liquids, then you're not going to get very far in space. But it could be other things. I don't know what yet. Like fuel sounds. Fuel is a thing you have in FTL. In FTL, you have fuel, and you have, but it's also because in FTL there's a lot of fighting. So other than fuel, you have all the materials to upgrade your ship and fight. But we're not making a fighting space games, so the daily use of restroom keeps the ship running. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right, Paul. It's a self-powered water refining machine. I thought that was ingenious. Because in third world countries, like in Africa, it's poorest places in Africa, they have these big generators, but they're not generating electricity because the people can't afford it or something. Yeah, and they have no clean water. They have a lot of problems. But then he came up with this machine that doesn't require like energy to run. It was zero sum, and it generated clean water as its byproduct. So it was great. Great idea. Yeah, the toilet 2.0 thing, right? It was brilliant. I loved it. What a great documentary. I will watch it again and again and again. I mean, Bill Gates was awesome, but after I watched the documentary, he's like way more awesome than I ever imagined. Way more awesome. Oh yeah, and you guys are not really going to be able to read this, right? Because it's kind of messing with the chat. Let me just push it to the other side. Same thing, but it's on the other side. So it's easier to read. Okay, so some simple things, right? Okay, well, procedural characters, the generation, procedural character generation, then what? Procedural story generation. We want procedural points of interest generation. What else is solving the mystery of the the mystery, the alien device or puzzle found. So that will be the story. This is the overarching storyline, and then everything else is to support you solving the mystery of the storyline. But these kinds of things mean that the game will be finite, because once you figure out the story or how to finish it, then it's just a race to the end, right? But it still makes for interesting point A to point B solution. I mean, there's tons of things to do before you get to the story anyway. Even XCOM. XCOM is this great tactical game. It also had a story in it. So we can still do story, just that with 2 days, it's kind of difficult to come up with a really good story. It's very challenging to do that in 2 days. Okay, so core gameplay loop. Start in a spaceship. You can walk around in it. Decide where to fly to next. Deal with crew. Do you even need to walk in a spaceship? Do you even need to walk around? Because if you have to walk around a spaceship, then you have to have like a fairly detailed model of a spaceship. And that's a huge amount of work. So if you want to cut down on the workload, we can just model the outside of the ship. Because if you want to walk around in the spaceship, you need the internals, and internals will take a ton of work to do. So if we kind of pull back the camera and you only get to see the outside of the spaceship, that's much easier to do. Do that in, I don't know, 30 minutes. Model a spaceship looking thing in about 30 minutes. And then we can focus on the gameplay elements. What are my artists gonna do? There are no props in this game. Because you're flying around in space. I guess planets could be props. But we probably prefer like procedural planet generation. I'm not sure how we're gonna generate the planets procedurally. I know how to generate rain procedurally. We'll have to figure out how to do that. Yeah, so walking around in a spaceship is possible. Let me see if it's a green laser here. There. Might be doing something, so I'm not sure if he's here. Yeah, but if you're here, you know what you think. Because I don't want to overload artists, because that's a ton of stuff. Because if you want to build the interior of a ship, that means you have to build out props. You have to build out like things that look like an engine, things that look like a science workstation or medical bay, that kind of thing. It's a huge amount of stuff you got to put together in order to have the internals of a ship, which you can walk around and not feel weird. Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's on, so yeah, I'm not sure if it's on. So, we do have another artist, by default, Vitali, and he's familiar with props too. So we technically have two prop artists that we can deploy. Because if this is just going to be, well, actually, hang on, there are aliens too. Are we going to model the aliens? Because we could also, instead of modeling the aliens, we could 2D draw them. Then you don't have to fully model the aliens. You can just kind of draw an alien looking thing and use the 2D portrait of that when you're talking to the aliens. You don't have to model the whole alien, because that's a huge amount of work. So we could kind of cheat. It's a 3D game, but that's parts of it that's 2D. So portraits of aliens mean that we don't have to model them. Unless we want alien crew. I mean, I don't wanna promise too much, but walking around the spaceship may be more work than we can do. So that's a huge amount of art workload. But if we don't have walking around the spaceship, then talking to crew members will be done on like just a dialogue menu. How long is the jam? It's 2 days. 2 days. There's not much time. Not much time to get too complicated. Yeah. So it's going to be a bit like FTL. You have a crew, you travel from planet to planet, solve problems, deal with issues, and then you have a crew with different skills, different abilities, and different, like negatives. Like maybe you have a blind engineer, he does everything with his hands. So it can be interesting. It can be interesting. The dynamic can be interesting because you might not have the perfect crew and you have to deal with, all the issues that they all have. I don't know, I can't see this being as interesting as RimWorld unless you can walk around in the ship, but then that's too much work. Yeah, there's only 2 days, so there's only a limited amount of stuff you could possibly pull off in 2 days. So I think we just have to bin the whole walking around in the ship thing. And we just focus on the exploration aspect of it, going from planet to planet. Well, what's the gameplay loop going to be? So the objective is to solve the mystery of the alien device puzzle found on Earth. So we can generate let's erase this. Is that like a bigger erase? Okay, so there. So we will probably do point A to point B type FTL type thing where you have multiple paths to get to where you want to go. Like a branching series of choices, right? That kind of thing. And then there'll be the goal. God, that looks horrible. But that's also because you should type. Right? Okay, so that's where you start. And this is the goal, and you have to go through all these different planets to get there. And every time you go to a planet, you trigger a different event. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And then you have to have your crew solve these problems. And you can solve them by having skills. Oh, is this going to be fun though? A single core mechanic? Yeah, the exploration. Because if you build the internals to the ship, that's just way too much work. Yeah, just too much work. Not going to be doable in 2 days. A space trading game would also not be that fun unless there was a point doing all that trading. But if you go from place to place trading with aliens, what's the point of that? What's the purpose of going around trading with aliens? I can't find a real good reason why we'd run around trading with aliens. You're not buying guns or weapons or something. You're not fighting aliens. So what's the purpose of trading with aliens? There is no purpose to trade with aliens. That becomes really boring because there's no reason to do it. There's no incentive to do it. Think we should brainstorm the protester one? I think the protester one had more interesting possibilities. The protester one is an easier mechanic to pull off though. Because it's very straightforward. You got two rival factions and you're just trying to prevent them from touching or something. It's a very simple thingy. And it also fits the theme very well. Oh, it's kind of boring though. Boring. I can't think of. I mean, that can be interesting, but we have to figure out how to make it interesting. Okay, let's say we do the protester one. Do the protester one. Okay. So the protester idea we had, if you're just coming in late, was that you had two rival militias or whatever groups. Let's see. Violent A. Then you had another violent group here. And then we were trying to make them not fight each other by coming between them. So you control like a protester blob of protesters, and you're supposed to, prevent them from getting too close to each other. I guess that'll trigger a riot because they'll fight each other or something. But how do we make this interesting? How do we make this interesting? Because it fits a team perfectly. We are preventing violence, and when violence occurs, you lose, which is perfectly aligned with the theme. But it has to be a fun game, right? Otherwise, we're wasting our time. I don't care if we win if the game is boring and no one will play it. It has to be fun. So how do we make this fun? How if it's sort of like a snake mechanic? Have you guys played the game Snake, where you're it's a kind of like this little worm that you're controlling to block to collect things, and instead of going around collecting dots, we can use the snake mechanic to, like, instead of a snake of snakes or worms or whatever, we're a snake of people. So you're controlling the head of the snake, and then the blob follows you. The blob follows you. So we basically try to surround them. So if we go like in this direction, surround them, and if we completely surround them, maybe there'll be a mechanic where our big blob will talk sense into them and they'll give up for the violence. Placing blocks or barriers to the borders so that no violence can happen. How do we make it fun? That's the thing. How do you make that fun? Like if you make this like a snake kind of game where you walk around, try to surround them, kind of boring. It's not really that innovative. How do you keep that interesting and fun? Although it doesn't help that it's 4 a.m. for me and I'm super tired. But let's keep brainstorming anyway. So, I mean, this one fits the theme, and it's an interesting concept. I just can't see how this is fun. Oh, how about this? We make it turn-based, and you have a limited number of people, and you must block their path so that they cannot pass through. Like you said, with blocks and barriers and people. So instead of snaking and all that, forget the snaking stuff. How if we make it like a turn-based game, and they're trying to get past you to fight each other, but your job is to try to prevent them from doing it. But it's gonna be interesting in turn-based mode. So you place. Okay, maybe there's natural environmental stuff. Then you just have to block up. Like maybe there's a wall here, So maybe there's another wall here. So all you gotta do is, put a trash can here or something to block it up. That's not very fun. It doesn't seem like interesting game. So the concept for this is okay, but in practice, it doesn't seem very fun. Unless we can think up something really cool to do. Just thinking. Make it interesting. So these are the blobs, right? They could be all people holding up banners and placards and stuff. And then these two violent groups are trying to get to each other to start a riot. And if you can get your peaceful protesters in between them, I mean, I guess the gameplay story would be you'd prevent them from rioting. Yeah, if we found this could be the best concept because this concept is a perfect 100% fit for the team, which is non-violence. This is perfect because this, if violence occurs, you lose. That's perfect. Perfect concept if it works. But if it's not fun, what's the point? It has to be fun. So how do you prevent them from triggering a riot? And in a way that makes it actually interesting. So I think turn-based is also not so fun. And blocking certain things also doesn't seem very interesting. Trying to visualize how this can play out. What other ways can we do in terms of gameplay? How about this? This is another spitball on this. How if you play like a plainclothes police officer? So you're like you're a spy basically, and you're walking around the crowd looking for people who might be violent. Consider the problem of overcoming violence as any 4x objective. You can explain that any civilization must be peaceful in principle because otherwise it would have destroyed itself. Like that would come to find us. It is a good concept. I love Carl Sagan. Watch his his documentaries from a long time ago. I think it's in the 80s or the 70s or something. It's some really good documentaries from back in the day. So anyway, if we were going to focus on this one, how if you're playing a character, let's say first person, so you're walking around looking for people who may be violent, and it can be in a number of ways, right? So we can randomly generate characters, and if a character has a knife, then it's a violent guy. Character has a gun, a concealed gun, the violent guy. So you're walking around looking at people to see if they have weapons. If you spot them, then maybe you tag them or something, and someone will go and arrest them. Although arresting doesn't sound very non-violent, but it would be kind of a way to prevent worse violence, right? So wouldn't that be okay? So then the gameplay loop will be you are just walking around the crowd, trying to spot the violent protesters from the non-violent protesters. That will still fit the theme. Arresting is not violent? Okay. So yeah, so we could be like, well, we're a guy walking in the crowd, and we're just keeping our eyes open for guns, knives, baseball bats, concealed weapons, that kind of thing. Unless you bash them with a stick while arresting them. Something like Papers, Please. I don't know. Personally, I didn't really like Papers, Please, but but some people do. Your hat sounds a little like the plot of Minority Report film. My hat? Very cool idea. I'm thinking I'm trying to fit the theme, but I have to make it fun. It has to be fun, otherwise don't bother. It has to be a fun game. If I'm not even gonna play that, then we've failed already. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's not a bad concept, right? So we have a protest. Okay, so the story is going to be like, okay, there's a protest, and you're there to diffuse the violence before it can break out. So there's like, I don't know, 200 people or something, and all of them have different clothing, different setups, and you are basically a secret police guy or CIA or whatever the hell you want to call yourself. Well, we'll decide later. You're walking in the crowd, and you're basically it's like a Wild Where's Wally kind of game. You're spotting the difference. So you're looking at them, and they all look somewhat similar, but you're checking for things like a bulge in the pocket, where there's a gun, or someone holding onto a knife, and you tag them, some kind of secret radio report or something. You tag them, and then police will go arrest them afterwards. But you're not the one doing the arresting, so you're not violent. You're not violent. Someone else is violent to someone else. Your job is just to go in between the crowd, stay hidden, and find the violent protesters. Full blown war, but when sides battle, it would be a dance battle. Dance battle. A war game, but it's a dance off. War game, but dance off. So I think this could work, right? You walk around first person. I have an idea how we can pull that off as well. Um, there's a tool called Uma, which allows you to have generated characters. Yeah, it's a free asset. Go check out Uma. So what Uma lets you do is it allows you to procedurally generate massive numbers of different characters. Pull it out there, or we can look at it. Right, it's an open source application. So what it does is you can generate characters. You know what? Why don't we just install it and then guys what? The problem with this is the art pipeline for this would be ginormous and almost ridiculous. I'm not sure how we're going to pull that off artistically. If you make it low poly style, then everybody's gonna look exactly the same. It's not very interesting, right? So you need to have characters that look somewhat realistic, because then you can spot like the differences among them. But if they're all very low poly, then they stick out like a thumb, like a raw, like it's gonna be not very fun. So if you make them very realistic, it's going to be impossible on the pipeline, the art pipeline. So if I still have some old. Yeah, so this is Uma. You can make characters, you can generate their clothing, so it's not that hard to generate like tons of different characters playing around with. Yeah, so basically you could generate them. They could have different hair, different arms, different legs, different clothing, different skin color, different size. They could be taller, shorter, fatter, skinnier. So basically, it's a way to generate characters that look different. And you just programmatically generate like hundreds of characters in a crowd. See is infinite. So if we do that, this system is capable of doing it. Artistically, it will be insane because we'll need to generate. I mean, if for a crowd to look realistically like a crowd and not look the same, you'd have to have a lot of different clothing options, right? You need a massive number of clothing options. Guy with a hat, guy with a t-shirt, guy with jeans, dresses and all. And it's going to be a massive amount of work for the art pipeline. So I'm not sure this can be done within 2 days. It will fit the theme. And gameplay wise, it's not super boring. I'm not sure if we can make it super fun, but it's definitely not super boring. But I'm not sure we can make it any more interesting. Feel free to throw up ideas on how to make this more fleshed out. But yeah, there's a demo scene in there which shows you can generate hundreds of characters, all looking sort of different. We could even just use the default art assets as well. But we do have 2 artists. Maybe we can get them to do clothing instead. But clothing is an acquired skill set. They're more prop artists, so I'm not sure if they can do clothing. Because clothing, you would want to use a tool like Marvelous Designer. They're both Blender guys, which would make it. What? Okay, so we have Uma. Also, a problem with using Uma is the the time required to create the characters is enormous. So the characters are all broken down in different parts. Like the arms are a separate body part, the head is a separate body part, the torso, the legs are all separated body parts. Each of these body parts has to be custom made to fit together and can be randomized. It's a massive amount of work. Anyway, I'll just show you the example. There's a example scene which has hundreds of characters generated. What is it though? No, it's examples. All 2 examples. Did it change all the examples? Oh yes, I also have to convert this to E. We'll only generate 100 characters and every change the bet. Yes, someone. Yeah, it could be like 100 protesters, and then there's only 1 or 2 that are bad. But they need to be detailed enough to be different. I think that's the challenge. It's going to be very difficult to make everybody look different. Also, I think they have HDRP support now. Worked at these back when at HDRP. So if you look at this scene, the characters stick out like a sore thumb because the background is super detailed, but the characters are not. right? You see that the environment is super detailed, and you can see that the characters are, of course, not super detailed. So they kind of stick out like a sore thumb because the quality level is very, very different. Ogre boobies. Yeah, that's an Uma character as well, the samurai. Yeah, so that's an example of how you can generate characters with different kinds of clothing and different armor and all kinds of things. That's also Uma character with all the clothing on. It's me just testing lighting and this around with it. But you can see that like the dragon fits into the scene lighting much better, and the characters just stick out like a sore thumb because the Uma's package is not an art asset. Connection established. Wow. Okay. Kidding. Kidding. There used to be a lot of demos. What about this? Legacy examples. The crowd generator they had. Ah, there you go. But they call it a legacy example. Hope it's still. Okay, so you see there's nobody in the scene right now. It's empty, right? So once we click play, we'll generate like 100 people all looking somewhat different. It works anyway. Like it did. Yep, see. Empty, so I must have to troubleshoot this. Oh, do we have errors? Right, I think it's because of HDRP. Okay, so we'll have to go fix the HDRP issues first. Okay, HDRP races. Okay. For the H package. In the render pipe races you. That's the one. Okay. Ton of work. If this will work. Okay, that's a HDRP test scene. Work. Don't see. Uma is a very efficient solution for it. It's just very time consuming to create more characters. But it's powerful. What the best solutions for generating hundreds of different characters. It's a lot of work to do though. So I'm not sure this will work out. Because using this, I remember spending, I don't know, maybe 1,000 hours working on this system. I'm quite familiar with it, although it might have changed over the years. But I've been working with this for a long time. It's very complicated. So it's divided into overlays, slots, textures, and wardrobes. And slots are like different parts. Like this is just torso, just the legs, and that's inner mouth. Oh, there are like lots of different body parts stitched together. So if you want to, like, for example, change the artwork, you would have to do a shit ton of work just to change the artwork, because you can't just, just swap in a character to replace the original artwork. You have to swap the character, break all the body parts down into the respective slots, and then Uma will stitch them together to create characters. So it's very, very time consuming. So I can see us not being able to do this in 2 days. If we use like low quality character models, this looks kind of okay, but if we use something that is like stylized, but even if we use stylized, we still need a way of generating characters to be different. Because if the characters are not very detailed, then you're just walking around looking for a gun. Everybody looks kind of the same. Yeah, I think this is just too much work for 2 days. I don't think we can do this within 2 days. It's just too much work. Yeah, so I don't know. The idea is interesting. Gameplay might not be very fun. The idea does have some interest. Yeah, aggressive animation. That could also be one way of like getting characters that stand out. Yeah, because I've worked with Uma before. It's one of the better solutions. Like people who develop MMOs in Unity Engine will use Uma because it's one of the best systems for generating characters, especially for like, MMO, that kind of thing. You create your own custom character. This is the best system for like character creators. Choose your own character type things. It let you swap out body parts, change hair, eyes, arms, legs, whatever. Bigger boobs or whatever you want to do. It's very good for that kind of thing. But to use a system like that is just lots of work. There's no easy solution for using something like that. I can't see myself completing anything using Uma within 2 days. Unless you use all the default stuff. If you use all the default stuff, uh I don't know. I haven't used it lately, so I'm not sure if it's here to use something a bit different but the same concept. Okay, that's also possible. So instead of being the guy going around looking for violent people, what else could we do? What else could... Anything to do with crowds is gonna be crazy though, because in order to make a crowd look different, you need to have like hundreds of outfits, hundreds of hats, jeans, that kind of thing. Otherwise, the crowd is just going to look like clones. This, you only have a few sets of clothing, everybody's gonna look the same. So just even looking at a crowd, you get bored because everybody looks the same. Everybody's wearing the same clothing, different colors maybe, but everyone's wearing the same thing. Because it's not realistic to expect you to be able to make that many different outfits given 2 days, right? So finding somebody out of a crowd, that kind of concept definitely will not work. Not within 2 days. I mean, gameplay wise, it could work, but within 2 days, we have to find something more doable. So like the snake idea could be more. We could flesh out the snake idea a bit more. Like how are we going to do this? Because if you have a crowd and you're not trying to spot the difference between them, then it's okay if they look all the same, kinda. But what is the gameplay going to be? Because we tried the idea of like surrounding them, but I don't think that's going to be very fun. Do let me know if you have a better idea. I mean, this concept pretty interesting. Even the whole concept of spotting weapons on people is interesting enough, but we just can't do it within 2 days. The amount of work we need to do to get hundreds of outfits to make them look different. Because if everybody was wearing the same thing, that would be really boring gameplay, right? I don't know. I think rolling back to the Rimworldy idea would be better, but again, the gameplay could be boring here too. This one, nah, it's not complicated. We can just delete whatever we don't like, because these are just basically idea boards. You drop all the ideas you could possibly use in this game, and then you just keep the ones that are most interesting. But if we focus on just inside the spaceship, we don't model things outside the spaceship, just model the spaceship and all the props in it, that can still be. It's hard to find a fun idea really quickly, and the fact that they threw us this kind of a curveball, no violence, it's like everything I can think of is not playable. Like most of the game ideas that I like involves combat in some way, and no violence is completely curveballed. How, if we do it like FTL, like because FTL you're getting chased by a no violence does not compute. It makes it really difficult to design a fun game. So I don't know, all the games I like that are fun have some kind of combat in it. Some kind of combat in it. So if it's no combat, what are you gonna do? Like this kind of game, if it's narrative event driven, it'll get boring really quickly unless you have like hundreds of events. Because if you haven't written like hundreds of different events that can happen, you can start running into the same event just after a while, after playing for like 30 minutes, you start seeing the same events over and over again because you just don't have that many events. So making it event driven is just going to be really boring very quickly. So if we make it, say, around gameplay inside the spaceship, you model all the different parts of the spaceship. what is the gameplay going to be about? Can't be just around talking to people, right? And since there's no combat, you can't have aliens invading your spaceship. What's it going to be about then? Problem solving is the same problem that we come up with. If we don't have enough events, things get very samey after a while. And there's no combat, so there's no ship to ship, no alien fighting. Trading with aliens, there's no purpose to trade as well, unless you think of one. One of the possible ways to do this will be you're piloting a ship, and your objective is to escape from the people chasing you. So then it makes sense to trade for fuel or something, some kind of resource. You're going around exploring, trying to look for the resource so that you can outrun the people chasing you. That was the FTL concept, except FTL had combat to make it fun. If you don't have combat, if you're just running away from something, doesn't that get boring? Violence does kill off any ideas I have. I like fighting. Violence. Like, I briefly thought, oh wait, you can play a sniper and you can headshot all the people who look like gonna do violence. Oh, of course, you can't shoot people. That would be violent. Guten Tag, Gomutix. Figure out if we can design a game and develop it within 2 days. It's super challenging because we're struggling to find an idea that is going to be even remotely fun. This is not going to be fun. But the Rimworldy idea was like at least somewhat fun to some extent. Yeah, a game without violence. Because that is the requirement.
Easily with Backtrace. For now, we'd like to announce this weekend's Game Jam theme. The theme for Game Jam 4 is No Violence. Interpret the theme as
No violence. Yeah. Violence is very difficult to make something. Yeah, that was a fun non-violent game. Yes. So those what do you call them? Those roguelite travel games were interesting too. FPS character you what we put the delivery game. Yeah, the pizza delivery idea we were thinking. You heard more violence? Master Rat? Leisure Suit Larry was a good game back in the day. Played a lot of Leisure Suit. Hilarious. The problem with these kinds of games is that you need to write a story. And in 2 days, that's a very, very short amount of time to write a reasonable story that is even remotely interesting. Yeah, super challenging. So this design part is going to be super challenging because the theme of no violence just kills off like 99% of the ideas I ever had for a game. So the delivery idea, okay, let's work on that. Work on that delivery idea. It could be interesting. So you're playing first person style, and maybe the delivery is to, you have to deliver a package to like the second floor of a building through an open window. You're throwing something through a window. You have to aim, get the angle right. I don't know if that's gonna be interesting. Uh, that is a simple game though. So pizza cooking game. Nah, I don't really want to do a pizza cooking. I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of those, but those are not even games I would consider. Yeah, I know. There's games like Cooking Mama and Overcooked and all that, all about timing and cooking the right ingredients. Yeah, those are casual games. Well, then again, we're probably making something casual because in 2 days, I don't know how complex we can. Because if we worked on the game I had, it would be a tower defense game. But now that we're not working on that, since that's impossible without violence, work on some thinking of how to make this one fun if we can make it fun. Deliver perfect spot, perfect timing. Physics, rigid bodies, throwing things around. How's that? Yeah, be without violence, but would be kind of boring. Okay, let's wipe this out and try again. Yeah, physics is fun, right? Throwing things around with physics is always fun. But how do we get gameplay that lets us throw stuff around in an interesting way, in a meaningful way? Rim wall without rimming? Fun. It throws a lot of glitch. Well, wipe it out. It up. Okay, so what? Use now. New idea. Physics game. So how do we make this fun? Stuff hitting other stuff, physics wise, is also interesting. I actually have an asset that can be fun if we make a physics game. It's called Rayfire. it basically lets you do massive destruction stuff. So if we make a physics game, this is going to be perfect for it because you break stuff and they all shatter and you have physics. Oh yeah, you get all the shattering. That can be done at runtime, so you can have a regular asset and it can be fractured and shattered in real time. Now, being able to do this means that you can make an environmental destruction game. Like you can build an entire building, and then if you throw it through the window and you miss, the entire building gets shattered. That could be interesting. Like, oops, I just blew up a building, you know? Out. Yeah, so let's cut to the actual destruction part. Sounds like violence. Yeah, it is, right? Destroying buildings. Is it violence though? Okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? Okay, you can see the building being blown up. It's very, very cool. How about this? You're trying to avoid the destruction. You're trying to avoid the destruction. How do we do this? Okay, how about you are tank driver or tank commander in Ukraine and the driver is blind. So you need to tell him to navigate, but you can't control the tank. So he's gonna be driving over things and destroying all the things, and you're just telling him, turn left, turn right, but you can't control the car or the tank. But then the tank is just driving around destroying stuff. So you're trying to avoid violence, but things just get destroyed everywhere anyway. You know, things just keep getting blown up. But you're trying to avoid it. But this will make for fun physics. No, we were planning on doing a Ukrainian game anyway. But that didn't work out because no violence. Yeah, but we're trying to avoid violence, you see. Yeah, you see, you can do a lot of destruction things. So this is easy to do. This is easy to do. We have our artists model buildings and different types of buildings, and we can just, you know, you're trying to avoid violence in the tank or something. Or maybe it doesn't have to be Ukraine. Maybe it doesn't have to be a tank. It can be something else. Like how about we're a giant. How about we're a giant, and then no wait. How about you're one of those cartoon characters? You're a guy standing on the head of a giant, and then you're pulling his hair to tell him where to go. Right? And you don't control the giant. You're just telling him turn more left, turn more right by pulling his hair. The giant will just run around. Maybe he's blind or something, and then you just keep destroying things as you run through them. Is that violent? Is that violent? I don't know. Feels like it could be fun. But maybe not a giant, because giant, you know, you won't have like modern buildings with giants, right? Anyway, I already own this asset, so we can play with it, but just install it while we're talking about it. Oh yes, you need to buzz out on me, won't you? Yeah, why not? Why not spaz out on me? Well, it's spazzing out. Let's just look at this stuff. It's fun. It's procedural destruction. It's it can make for some fun gameplay. It's not violence by destroying things, right? As long as you're not shooting people. So all we gotta do is figure out like what's the core gameplay loop. Okay, maybe not a tank, because tank sounds like a violent vehicle, so but something else that drives into buildings or anyway, this is like fun with rigid bodies. Fun with physics, rigid bodies. Very fun. There you go. Bring it in. It's got good fun gameplay in it. And it'll also be a simple game. So now all we have to think about is how do we create a compelling experience? Like, why are we destroying things? Or why are we avoiding destroying things? What's the plot there? I thought that maybe a tank would be interesting, but it sounds a little violent. If you drive a car and you're running into buildings, that sounds violent. And of course, we're not using guns or bombs, because that's definitely violent. I think what we should do is make the gameplay about not destroying things, but then the player is going to screw up all the time and things are just going to get destroyed anyway. Like, you know, like a silly golf game. Like you hit the golf ball and the whole building collapses, but that was the point. You're not supposed to hit the building, but you hit the building and the whole building collapses anyway. And it'll be fun, right? I mean, the guy will be like, "Oh shit, I destroyed a building again," you know? That could be like kind of hilarious gameplay, but maybe not golf, because overdone. Maybe something else. Aliens blind, so yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So an alien has landed on planet Earth, and he is now blind. Now blind, so you are guiding the alien back to his spaceship. But if you guide him wrongly, he'll destroy all the buildings. So you're trying to guide him so that he doesn't smash into all the buildings. And then all we need to do is just design a very cool alien that will be big and, you know, running to buildings will be easy. That could work. And every, you know, playing the game would be like, oops, I just destroyed another building. Oops, I just destroyed the car. You know, basically you're trying to like navigate the alien, but you don't have direct control. How about this? How about this? How about this? You guide the alien by using sounds. So the gameplay is about clicking in certain places to generate sounds. So when you have loud sound, the alien will go away from it. So the gameplay is about looking at the map and then putting those beacons that generate sound. And every time you place a beacon, the alien will move away from that position. So it's all about navigating all these beacons to try to get the alien away from this position by by navigating away from those beacons. How about that? We are guiding an alien to escape through city. If we're doing something wrong, there will be destruction. Yeah, exactly. So the point is like you're winning by doing as little destruction to the city. But the alien landed in the city, so you're trying to get him out, right? If more than X amount of destroyed, the player will lose. Yeah, that could be it. It could be rated by how few buildings you destroy. But you're definitely gonna be crashing the buildings, right? So that's where all the destruction will be fun to look at. But we're trying to avoid the destruction. But it's inevitable. They're going to smash into things, right? So we could do that. could do that. All right, Uma is out. Just really, really complicated asset to use. Anybody with better ideas, just feel free to throw it up because, like, making sounds, it's okay, I guess, but not sure that's the bestest idea. But it's a way of navigating an alien without like standing on him and pulling his hair, because that sounds ridiculous. Yeah, we need to have a bit better of a gameplay concept. Like, rendering sounds may be okay, but sure someone can think of something better, some better concept to navigate the alien. That could be really fun. We could have a cutscene, the alien landing, and they're like making a lot of noise, and be like, "Okay, we need to get him out of here," and that's your gameplay. Try to get the alien out of the city to save as many people as possible, right? But wouldn't there be violence anyway? I mean, we're trying to avoid violence. Trying to avoid violence, but the that yeah. So the shatter's not good. Last one was not bad. Yeah, you can do that. Ooh, shatter. That's not much shattering, is there? Supposed to use bigger rocks. There are the scenes. The blade slicing scene. Except these did not get converted properly. Doesn't matter. You guys know what it is. Scene. And we'll see it shatter manually. Okay, so scene. And then basically we'll just control these lobby things. Yeah. Did it not work? Ah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Destroy stuff. Aligned. Somehow. Oh, there you go. We chipped off a little bit of the end. Anyway, this is just a cutting demo. The explodey stuff is a bit more interesting. Animal. Means are chasing that animal. You're running away. But then you're using the animal to run into buildings? Oh my goodness, the Backtrace team are watching our stream right now. Hey, what's up, Backtrace? Vincent and Mac. Nice of you guys to tune in. We're just trying to figure out how to make this game. because you guys have thrown us a super curveball with that non-violent thing. Every game design I ever had has some form of violence in it. So we're just completely kind of figuring shit out now. Yeah. But I guess it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. So we're throwing up ideas, trying out a bunch of things, interacting with our viewers, and trying to figure out like how's this going to work? How can we pull out something that is fun? Because I'm not gonna make a game that's not fun, whatever the price. You know, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. It has to be fun. And blowing shit up is always fun, even if there's no violence. You love the team, Mr. Aiden? But now we have to do non-violence. Imagine that. Imagine that. I mean, the destruction stuff is cool though, and it's not really violent, right? Like blowing shit up, not violent. It does push creativity. I give you that. It definitely does push creativity because everyone's ideas are like poof out because everybody has some kind of game which they played and enjoyed, and they're trying to recreate it, and it all involves some violence. So now we're like completely tossed into the deep end of the pool, trying to think of a game which doesn't exist. I mean, sure, there's Stardew Valley and all those other kind of games that I don't play. So we have to think of a solution. Figure it out. I mean, we can just keep trying different ideas. I have a lot of assets. I've got like $10,000 worth of assets on the asset store. I have a ridiculous number of assets. I use them for a bunch of things, but you know, I've got tons of stuff we can play with. Hey, what's up, Velusenberg? Welcome. Are you one of the Backtrace team? If so, welcome to the stream. We're just brainstorming ideas with the community and my viewers and my devs. We're all trying to figure out how to make a game that's so, you know, I had this cool idea. I thought I would, you know, make a game about Ukraine, tower defense game. And you know, we had an elaborate like, yeah, this is doable and it's gonna be fun. And then non-violence? What? Who does that? So yeah, so now we have no game design. Now we have no game design. Now we're trying to figure out how to make the best of a bad situation here. Like I've never designed a game with no combat in it. Yeah, so no, that was what we voted on earlier, and we're still not sure about how to make this interesting. Like some kind of FTL rim building thing in a spaceship with some kind of reverse tower defense. Yeah, but the idea with Rayfire could be interesting. I mean, I bought that asset for $200 and I haven't done anything with it, so you know, get my money's worth. And it's fun to see things blowing up. But if we play like the reverse side, you know, we're working on that idea. We're working on that idea where we're trying to not blow stuff up, but stuff gets blown up anyway. You know, like the idea was like an alien crash landed in the middle of a town, and it's like emergency. You have to try to, you know, get him away from the city center. So there's no violence, is there? Is that violent? I think that's violent. You know, we're trying to guide an alien who is going to blow shit up when he goes around because he's just a big, nasty looking alien, right? But we're doing the good thing. We're trying to, you know, the idea was like maybe we'll put like beacons which make noise, and maybe the alien is sensitive to noise and he'll walk away from the noise. So you're basically playing a top-down game. You place beacons, and then the alien will be like, okay, there's sound here. I don't like sound. I go the other way. But you're in the middle of a city, right? You're gonna crash into buildings everywhere you go. You're gonna blow stuff up. So we're kind of like avoiding the violence, but in doing so, blow up buildings. Like it's inevitable. You gotta blow it up. Happens. Just does. Hey, what's up, Matt Clark? Welcome to the stream. So we're just trying to figure it out. Like there's a whole bunch of things we could do with this asset. It's pretty fun. Another Backtrace folk. Hey, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're exploring ideas, trying to get something to work and trying to make it fun. And this kind of destruction can be fun. Boom. Stuff up. Yeah, this has got a connectivity thing, so blowing up connected things can kind of create chain explosions and chain destructions. It's pretty fun to play with. You'd say guns are bad? But what? We have no guns though. We have no guns in this. Because we were thinking about doing something about an alien crash landing in the middle of a town or city, and then us using sounds to chase him away from the city. And then I guess we could score points based on how few buildings you destroyed. But the player will still smash into buildings, and that's where the fun is, right? They'll blow stuff up. But a way we're trying to do good things, we're trying to get the guy away from the city. Right? Yeah, but it's still violent, right? It is still violent. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a tough one because blowing things up, it's still kind of violent, right? Destroying things. But if we do it in a different way, like I had another idea where we were like, maybe you have like a wacky golf game. You hit the ball and you miss the thing, and then the whole building collapses anyway. If you miss the target you're aiming for, you blow up the building. But that still seems a little bit violent. Unless maybe it's not a building. Maybe we do some other thing that can blow up that isn't a building. Something that isn't a building. Yeah. Like, things can blow up because when you visualize a building blowing up, all you can think about is the people inside that must be dying. So it seems like, oh man, you're killing people. That's not cool. Right? So if we think of something else that's not a building, that you don't think there's people inside, then it's okay. A putt-putt game where it hits things or blows up pins or something. That's what I was thinking, like a little golf thingy or somebody suggested bowling as well. Golf-ish. That. Where you kick a ball and if you miss, it blows everything up behind it, Something that doesn't make you think about people dying in buildings. Of course, the easiest way to make it look cool would be like have buildings collapse on you, because that system was built for procedural destruction. Cool. Yeah, but some kind of non-violent way of implementing it would probably be better. If you want non-violence. Man, that's hard. Anyway. The other idea. The ideas we can work on. Develop further. We had a whole bunch of ideas we kind of deleted and trying to work on this one. But then this one kind of hit a roadblock. I can't see how we're gonna make it actually fun. Because FTL was fun because there was combat, because there was a reason to be accumulating all these supplies, because there was combat. RimWorld is also the same. You're doing all these things, you're building all these things because you're trying to fight off the bad guys. It was combat. So if we're building a spaceship, we're flying around in space, what's the purpose, right? I mean, you could say, okay, you get to the end and you win. But then how would getting from point A to the end point be interesting if there was no barrier, no hurdle to jump through? If you're just going to walk around and have no issues. Okay, we could make like fuel an issue. Let's say we make fuel a resource, and then you're gonna run out of fuel before you get to the end point. That still sounds really boring. You're just running around doing pointless trades just to get enough fuel to get to the end point. But if we generate stories, it'll start to become repetitive very quickly, because anything involving events, random events, you're gonna start seeing the same events over and over again very quickly with only 2 days to create those events. Maybe we'll create 20 events, you know, and in 30 minutes of playing, you would have run through those events and then seen them 3-4 times. That's not gonna work. So that is a challenge. Go back to playing with assets and see what else comes up. Stuff. What else have I not worked on that I wanted? Digger is fun too. Yeah, so Digger is kind of a semi-voxel engine. So what it does is it converts terrain, like parts of a terrain, into voxels. I also bought this because I wanted to do some kind of a destruction game, but I never quite did. So basically what it does is it converts a layer of your terrain into voxels. And then you can kind of dig. You can kind of do like explodey things. But of course, things that explode will be kind of violent, right? We could make it a building game. Building kind of game. So this immediately starts to think, oh, it's like Minecraft. It's voxels, right? You can just, but it's actually very intelligent the way it's implemented because it doesn't actually voxelize everything. Because there are engines that do that. There are engines that you apply to your terrain and it turns the entire terrain world into voxels. And then you can manipulate voxels any way you like. This way of implementation is somewhat lightweight because what it does is only the very surface of the terrain that you can see is a voxel. And then when you start digging, then they start to turn more of the terrain into voxels, but only the surface areas which you can see. So you have more performance, and it's way more performant because you don't have to make this massive voxel terrain, which is extremely slow. It does have interesting use cases. And also I haven't used it yet, so, you know, we'll find something to use it for. Survival. This is right choice, right time. A survival game, doesn't that usually have violence? Survival game. But yeah, you could do that, right? You could be just, you know, on an alien planet and you have to chop trees and, you know, build houses and stuff like that. But this kind of game, you'd have to design a lot of mechanics for it to be interesting. And you have to design a lot of you have to model a lot of objects for it to also be interesting. That's where the challenge is survival game. Chopping. Well, trees are not that hard to do. You can definitely do trees. Yeah, like Firewatch. Firewatch is a what do you call that? We call these games walking simulators. It's a new genre. Walking simulator. But that is completely story driven. It's like a movie which you play in parts with small little gameplay elements sprinkled in, but you're basically not doing a lot. You're just walking. They call it a walking simulator. That requires strong narrative driven gameplay. There are tools that allow me to do that. Let me just share the tools. Well, never mind, we'll get to it when we get to it. I have some stuff that allow me to create like interesting narrative driven gameplay. I was thinking I'd show it on stream once I get to that part. But yeah, let's just keep thinking of the ideas first. Don't want to distract us. Stuff we can do though. I also have a lot of stuff I can play with that I haven't. Much stuff. Play with dialogue. Hate. I think dialogue system and love hate could kind of combine to something interesting overall. Love hate is a it's basically RimWorld's mechanics built into this RimWorld's mechanics, so you can have relationships between characters. when they do things, they can like or dislike each other. It's kind of how RimWorld works. This is kind of like a RimWorld simulator type thing. Yeah. Anyway, I've got thousands of it. Too much to go through it. But yeah, there's some fun stuff in here that I haven't made. Play with it some. There are even people that play. People play the game Rage. I haven't played Rage. Guess that's a lot of violence. So anyway, something like that, like Love Hate, together with something like dialogue system, these two already combine to create a RimWorld-like experience. So this one gives you dialogue options, and then this one gives you relationships between characters, which you could also use to create some kind of like a space simulator relationship story generator type thingy like RimWorld in a spaceship instead of in space on land. Challenging to make this fun though. I'm trying to just visualize how this is going to be interesting to the player. We already kind of ruled out walking around in a spaceship, sort of, because then we'll have to model the internals of a spaceship, which would take us more than 2 days. Unless all we do is model the spaceship. But then, what are we going to do in the spaceship? Talking to crew members. Because there can be no combat, so we can't have aliens teleporting into the ship and then you have to fight them off. Nope, can't do that. So, can you play that then? People that play the game, let's get over it. They rage in front of the computer. Oh, I see. Right. They rage in front of the computer. Got it. So they get violent on the computer while trying to complete a game without violence. So Rayfire plus Digger will already give you a completely destructible game world. You can destroy the terrain and you can destroy objects on the terrain. But that's be rough for a non-violent game to make it interesting. What other like golfy type games can we do? Some kind of the ball around type thing. I think the idea of navigating an alien out of a city is interesting, but then it's still violent, right? Because buildings are getting destroyed, and people can, think building, you think human inside the building. How if we find a different environment for the alien to be stuck in instead of city with buildings? Where else can we put the alien? Or how about we are on an alien planet? Then you don't think you're killing anything, right? How if we're on an alien planet and every freaking thing is destructible? How about that, right? We land on an alien planet and be like, okay, let's go crazy now or something. And we have to think of some objective, like what are we supposed to do here? Like we're looking for something, or we're trying to find something. And you can destroy the planet. And there's no violence because there's nobody on the planet. Right? You're destroying things, not people, so there's a disconnect there, right? And we can combine Digger as well as Rayfire and have the entire planet destructible. Oh, how about making it like a mining game, like a digging mining game? Violence to the planet. Oh, it's not to the people, right? Yes, that's right, guys. Come up with something. We're on a mission to find something the aliens stole from Earth. So we go there, we blow up the planet because we gotta find it. Yeah. They stole the president's ring or something, you know? And now we're here to find it back. We have to blow up the world to get it. Their world, not ours, their world this time. We go to alien planets, and then we're digging and blowing shit up. But it's okay, there's no violence because there's no people, right? How about that? But we can't actually have aliens, right? Because then if we kill the aliens, then there'll be violence now. So it's okay. So we have to be like us versus environment. There will be no aliens of any kind. Or maybe we see an alien, but not in the place we're destroying things. Yeah, adventure game. That could be interesting. Kind of like adventure game, but we're destroying stuff in the search of our puzzle piece or something. Explode the world. As long as it's not ours, right? It's cool. As long as it's not our world, it's cool, right? That's what I'm thinking. That might be okay. Right. Okay, so that's the thing. Let's refine this further. It could be fun. Because, I mean, blowing shit up is always fun. But it's violent if there's a building, right? Because think of the people inside. But we put this in an alien planet with alien things, but no aliens. And then the story will be to find out where the aliens have gone. And to do that, we destroy their city. So we have to build an alien city and we can blow it up. Kinda. So how about this? We are in a mech, some kind of robot mech thingy, right? And we are traveling on the alien planet, right? In that mech, that robot, and we're destroying everything in our path to get what we're looking for. So there'll be plenty of destruction, but it's aliens. Nobody cares about aliens. Nobody's going like, aliens' lives matters too. Just make a good old game like Backtrace in the future with spaceships. What's Backtrace? I've never heard of that. Do do fill me in on the information. That is. Okay, so let's work on that. So yeah, create a new tab. Okay, so stuff. Okay, so alien planet exploration adventure destruction game. All right, MacClock, thanks for jumping in, man. Appreciate it. Hope you guys were entertained while we are stumbling along trying to figure out what to make. Okay, so what do we do here? So player controls something. Robot, tank, spaceship. I don't know, something, right? Can't be the player running into things, right? Okay, and we are looking for something the aliens stole from us. Okay. But there must be a gameplay reason we're running around destroying things, right? Okay, how about this? How about it be time sensitive? So maybe you land on the planet and there's nobody on it because the aliens are self-destructing the planet. So maybe you have 5 minutes to find it, otherwise the entire planet blows up. So you have like 5 minutes. So that's why there are no aliens, because they are blowing it up. Then you have to run around, explore the alien city, and find the thing before they blow up the city. And then you can, beam me up to your ship or something and get out of there. Save the princess like Mario. Yeah, that's right, Kiefer. Save the princess. That's right. That's what we gotta do. Find what they stole from us. But they want no violence, right? So we can't have like a princess tied to a pole for us to rescue, because then if we visualize if you didn't rescue her, then she's gonna be destroyed. So then it'll be violent.
I'm back. Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
So we agreed on the faster than light thing.
No, we didn't. We considered it. We're trying to make it fun, but we couldn't figure out how to make it fun. So this is the idea, right? We are like a FTL removal thing in a spaceship. We thought
Okay.
about walking around in a spaceship, but that's too much art, so that's not possible. Unless that's all we model, but that's kind of rough. And what are you gonna do even if you walk around in a spaceship? You can talk to crew members. You can't have aliens attacking you, so that's out. We can fly around to different planets, but because there's no combat, how are we going to make that interesting? So if we make events, let's say we have events. Oh, you found some aliens in trouble. That kind of stuff has to be scripted. Somebody has to go write these events, and you have 2 days. So maybe you come up with 20
Uh,
events. Yeah, after half an hour, you play the same events over and over again. It gets boring. So it's just not going to be very fun. So if you have some ideas on how to make this fun, yeah, let's hear it.
let's see. Seat number 2, air planet exploration. Hmm. I mean, have you played a game called Rhines?
No, but I heard of it.
It's like a card system. Well, how do I explain? Well, there's like an opportunity. You're the king of a city, and you have a card. Every time you draw a card, and it's like, oh, you need to give some food, and you have a choice between you give
How do you
some
spell
food,
Rhine?
Reigns, I believe. Let me just find it for you. Reigns. Reigns.
R E REID.
I linked it in the chat, general chat.
Check it out. Oh, Reigns. No problem, no problem. Long live the king. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, so we could do like, oh, you can give food, but if you give food, people are going to be happy, but you're going to lose more money. So it's a perspective of you have to make everyone happy, but you can't make everyone too happy,
Right, it's
and you can't make
balance.
people too. Yeah,
That's the kind of interaction we can have on the spaceship too.
yeah. So instead of like religion, people, military, and money, we can have like each people. So person A, person B, person C, person D, and if you make one happy, you could make one sad. If you make everyone sad and stuff like that, for example.
Then you get kicked out the airlock. No, but they can't do that because it's non-violent.
Yeah, if you make someone too happy, maybe they will become the new captain or something.
Right. Yeah, that could be doable. Be doable, but would it be fun?
I mean, Rhines is a very fun game.
Okay. It's a card game, right?
It's yeah, it's a pseudo card game.
Right. So how do we implement something like this in a spaceship-based environment?
I mean, we can just simply steal the template of Rhines, for example, but make it more spacey by that point.
Okay.
That's just an idea, of course.
Of course, along with all our other
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, like Budget says, same interference. I can't even pronounce.
No
But
worries.
say background interface. There we go.
Okay. So if we flesh this out like that, and we use like what is it, card game? mechanic?
Well, it doesn't have to be card, but card is one of the ways Rhines does it. You could have in multiple choices as well.
So basically, dialogue options. Dialogue
Pretty
options to
much.
determine whether people like you or dislike you.
Yeah. One of the members are alien
That's a good
uses
idea, actually. Find the alien. So one of the crew members on your ship is it's like Cluedo, right? You're like, who's the alien? Who did it?
Among Us.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, who's the alien? One of them's the alien, and then you have to keep, you know, figuring out like, by asking questions or whatever to figure out who the alien is. But that sounds kind of boring to be honest. There's more interesting
I don't
mechanics.
know. A lot of people really like mystery games. Phoenix Wright has been very successful because of it.
Okay, I'm open to considering it.
Aliens want
Aliens
to
want to
test
test you.
human.
Fifth element and the fifth. That's the blow stuff up idea. That
Mm.
that one's also not bad because got all these interesting assets I haven't used yet. This would be a perfect opportunity to throw them into a game and have it to do ridiculous things. That's also so the rain idea could work on the spaceship. And the alien among us thing could also work on the spaceship. That's possible
Hmm.
ways to play it. And the alien or card game mechanic. Relationship juggling. This is also possible ways to play a spaceship drama game to keep it interesting.
Hmm.
This is definitely not going to be possible, right? Strike out. That one. Well, talking to crew members can still be done. Call it heaven. It stay on a cloud and you make good decisions. Ask the goal. Did and cloud. Okay. I can make a nice cloud shape. Actually, I already have a good cloud shader, so I can definitely do the nice cloud shader called the maker, I think. Or volumetric cloud thing. No. Cloud thingy. Cloud thing. Infinity cloud. Yeah. One is fun. You can fly through clouds as well in this. Talk to the dev and he said, oh yeah, you can fly through them. But some assets don't, because if you have shaders and the shaders have a certain perspective, sometimes you have clouds you can look at, but you can't actually fly through the clouds. So this guy actually made it so that you could actually fly through those clouds. So it could be more interesting.
This is the first tutorial
Mm.
of InfiniCloud.
So, like, go in the center or something?
Actually, I very early on, like years ago, I saw design a game where you're playing as a dragon and you're flying through the clouds and then you're fighting other things in the clouds. And it was such a great idea, but the the game was kind of boring. Yeah. But, you know, it was really cool cinematics because you fly through really nice cotton candy clouds. I had really complex shaders for the clouds, so the clouds really look like cotton candy, and you're flying through, trying to eat all the clouds as you're flying through it. And you're playing a dragon, so, you know, you're fantasy. Toony clouds. I think, you know, in terms of art expectations, there's only 2 days. There's only so much you can do in 2 days. There's very, very big limitations on time. Because there's just not that much time. Like if we want to make our own super fancy like cloud shader, it's gonna take me the entire 2 days. So unless we have a shader guy who can make the shader in like 2 hours, it will probably take me 2 whole days to make one shader. Yeah, very, very time consuming. Especially if you're trying to make a fancy shader. Anyway, yeah, what other ideas we have? So I guess we can probably just look on these two ideas. I mean, unless someone has a better thingy, the drama and spaceship thingy could work. And the card game mechanic, relationship juggling, and finding an alien among us are possible concepts as well. I don't think we can make all of this work, so we'll have to pick one and just go with that. But is dialogue options, talking to your crew, just going through the dialogues, is that going to be interesting? Because you're trying to balance the relationship so that, right? Because what I understand in Rain is you're trying to keep your position as king. You're trying to keep your position as captain of the ship by balancing all their relations, right? And not making one guy too popular. And we can do that through dialogue screens or dialogue options.
The thing is, if we're gonna go on dialogue, we need someone to write this all down.
Yeah,
the whole
exactly. In 2
dialogue.
days. In 2 days, you have to
We
code
could try.
everything. You have to write it all down. What's the
We could
topic for
try to
this,
try
Jam?
to make something like an arcade game. That's the
The
thing
theme
we
is
could.
no combat, no violence.
Yeah, arcade doesn't have to be in violence. It's just not violence, but we can play around it. We could protect ourselves from violence, or we could stop the violence, things like that.
Bots.
We need to think of something soon because honestly, we're running out of time. Duke has a game like Argo.io that works.
Crap, it was hard. So, okay, so we're back. I've never heard of that. I don't really like casual games. I don't really like casual games, so I have a personal thing where I don't make games I will not play. So if it's a game I will not play, I will not make it. Yeah. So like people who are asking me to make like hyper casual games, all that. No, I don't make games I don't play. Gotta be something I would at least be willing to play.
Mm-hmm.
Very least. I mean, I didn't get into game dev to go work on stuff I don't care about. Because I kind of left stuff I don't care about so that I can work on stuff I care about. That's why I'm making games. Yeah, so it's gotta be fun. Otherwise, I don't want to waste 2 days doing it, you know? What's the point? So it's gotta be fun. Fun is the most important factor. Because if it's not fun, I don't want to work on it. I completely lose motivation. So it's either this or the crazy concept of just trashing through buildings. I think you missed all of that, Maxim, because you weren't here when I was going through all the destruction stuff. There's this no this well, let me skip forward. Yeah, so this basically shows you can destroy a lot of stuff procedurally, kind of fun, and it's a $200 asset. I haven't used it for anything useful yet. Yeah, I can make fun stuff with it. See, fun, right? Yeah, but at first we thought maybe put an alien in the center of a city, and then you have to use sounds to navigate him out of the city or something. But then, when you see buildings getting destroyed, it could be seen as violence. Because people think buildings have people in them. So this is a procedural destruction system. So you can quickly blow stuff up. Little bits and pieces. Very fun. There's chain cluster, destruction, nested cluster destruction. It's a lot of very cool stuff in there. Yeah, and there's very little work to prep it because all of this fragmentation can be done in runtime. Put a script on it, and then it just self-destructs in runtime. So you can do a lot of stuff with it.
That can be considered as violence, unfortunately.
Yeah, as long as it's not buildings with, people might think there are people in them, then it's okay.
No. I'm talking replying to kill for Flying God 1.
Yeah, and Kiefer, like if you want to talk about multiplayer, we don't have time. It's only 2 days. Alright, Anurag. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll just keep brainstorming for now. What's your favorite idea so far? What's your favorite idea?
Mine?
No, not you, Anurag. Because we could combine Digger, which allows you to dig stuff, and Ray Fire and create a very fun, destructible game. Alien one, we'd find a President's Ring. Right, something like that, right? We find something that the alien stole from us. So you see, if we're destroying stuff on Earth, then it could be seen as violent. But if we are on an alien planet, blowing up alien cities, then it's cool, right? There's no violence.
What if you're... Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
What if you're playing as a spy or something,
Okay.
and you're on an alien spaceship, and you have to take the alien ring without using any violence? So you have to, march your way. You have to disguise yourself. It's like Hitman, but remove the violence.
Hitman, but remove the violence.
And you have to find the ring, and once you find the ring, you have to get out of there.
Not sure how that's fun.
Have you played Hitman?
No.
It's
a shooting game.
No, Hitman is more of... It's not more sitting. It's more of disguising yourself. Killing equals to fun. It's more like you have to disguise yourself. You have to get into the security. You can play in multiple
So
ways.
it's a spy
in Hitman.
game.
Yeah, it's a spy game. Yeah.
Okay. Played spy games, those stealth games. You sneak in around and try to do your thing, and then get out.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that got to do with explosions and destruction? So basically just want a spy game. But spy games, well, what's the concept though? Because it determines like whether we can do it or not based on the scope of it.
Yeah, that is also true.
Yeah, because we have to think about how much art do we need to produce to do that in 2 days.
I'm
Yeah, that's
running
the
out
thing.
of
A lot, a lot
ideas.
of a lot of options are just out because the requirements in art are beyond this. Can't do that in 2 days means Protester one. He knows about Protester one. He was here when you were talking about it, right? You know about the
Yeah,
Protester idea, right?
one the violin A, violin B,
Yeah,
two,
the two violent groups, and then we try to like block people from reaching each other, but that seemed really boring. The idea was sound. In terms of like fitting the theme, it's 100% fit for the theme because you're trying to prevent violence. So yeah, in terms of a game that's non-violent and you're preventing violence, definitely 100% fitting the theme. But I just can't visualize how that is going to be interesting. That's like watching paint dry.
we are running out of options though.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
yes,
other one where we were looking for the bad protesters. That one's impossible technically to do it in 2 days. Even though I know how to do it, I know how to do it. I know the tools to do it. But the amount of work required to get that kind of game working, to generate hundreds of protesters that look different, is just so much work. Yeah, I'll just die before I can finish that game. I'll definitely burn out before I can finish that kind of game. Because I remember working with that tool and I burned out working on it. I spent over 1,000 hours working on that tool. It allows you to generate characters randomly. You can have fat people, skinny people. You can have all kinds of hairstyles, different skin colors, different height. You can generate an entire crowd, hundreds of people, and all of them will look different. But
so
the work required to do that is enormous. Which tool? It's
so
called
we need
Uma.
to find something that's fun, something that's simple to make, and something that we can make it
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's
There's so many requirements and has no violence in it. So no violence, something we can do in 2 days, something we have the skills to do, something that we can make in with the artists that we have, which is two prop artists. So we have a lot of requirements. I think the destruction one can be doable though. We just have to figure out like what's a good plot for us to do something. Because you see, if we land on an alien planet, they stole something from us, so we can just crush our way through everything looking for something. Be the sun and grow flowers. Idle game. You play as the sun. Watch the flowers grow. So you run the game and you AFK for 20 minutes and you come back. Oh, you win. You won. The flowers grew. Flower and grass shader. That's right. You don't even have to write, well, C# code. You just write shader code. And then you can make the plants and flowers grow using shaders. Plants growing. I don't really want to do idle games because those kinds of games are so boring. I'll never play them. It's gotta be fun, man. That's like number one priority. It's gotta be fun. I think destroying stuff is fun. I think destroying stuff is fun. Like you see in the destruction stuff, right? So basically, if you have an entire game world which you can completely destroy, and it's not gonna make you feel like you killed anybody because it's an alien planet and these are alien buildings, and you just run through it looking for something. So the key maybe we have to decide on is how is the gameplay loop. Destroying things isn't gameplay. Gameplay loop would be like maybe there's a beacon. Maybe there's a beacon, and then when you land on the planet, all you have is a beacon. So it could be like a ray of light towards the sky or the space, or maybe it's a special sonic beacon that only you can see, or using your special machine you can look through all the earth and see it. Maybe it's deep in the ground. Maybe you have to dig to get to it or something.
behavior involving physical force intended to harm, damage, or kill someone or something. We could not destroying buildings would consider violence then.
Yeah, but if we're not on Earth, we're in an alien planet, and there's no aliens.
So like a demolition simulator.
Yeah, exactly. A demolition simulator. But we're looking for something. Like the objective is to find something within like 5 minutes or something before the alien. So the reason there are no aliens on the planet is because the aliens are self-destructing the planet. They're blowing up the planet. So you have like 5 minutes to find what they stole from us and escape the planet or something like that. So you're just exploring and you're exploding and destroying everything in your way because there's nobody there. You're not hurting anybody. There's no violence.
That could work. We could do that.
It's like will be kind of doable within 2 days, and you can procedurally generate um like lots of things. So you can have artists just make like a bunch of alien environments, landscape type things, building type things, and then we just procedurally generate enormous of amounts of that, like more things than a player can possibly destroy. So the objective will be not to try to destroy everything. The objective will be to find the thing, but in the process of finding the thing, you just run into a lot of things and blow stuff up and destroy stuff, and that could be fun because you'll be blowing stuff up as you go. But it has to have a bit more than that, though. That's just the base concept. We need to add more to that to make it
What kind of
interesting.
what shall we use? Are we going to use a rocket launcher? Are we going to use a boulder?
I was thinking we'd maybe pilot a robot and we just run into everything.
Because if that's the case, we could also have like something like special powers along the way, where if you get something, you can blast 500 missiles at once. So
Yeah, but
rapid sort
that
of
if you
super
have
speed.
weapons, then it's violence.
Oh, well, yeah, that is actually true. Then
Yeah,
what about like
that's why I
super
say you run
speed,
into
or
things with your robot because then you're just running into things.
we could just say super speed then,
Yeah,
or
possible,
something like that. But
possible.
honestly, destroying buildings and everything, that already sounds fun in my opinion.
I think. I mean, watching stuff like crumble and blow up is sort of at least amusing. But if you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, it gets boring anyway, right? So it needs to have more compelling reasons to play it than just watching things blow up.
I mean, it's a fun game. I would say that those kind of games is fun to play like for
Yeah,
quick
for
5 minutes, and then you
yeah,
can
just
go
for
with your life
amusement.
and everything.
But if we have more compelling reasons to play it, then it becomes more feasible.
It doesn't have to be. Some games I
Just
sometimes
just
prefer
mad
playing
fun, just
games.
doing silly stuff.
Yeah, it's sometimes just what you call it. Sometimes you just want to play a quick 5 minute game, and if you have a quick 5 minute game to play, then that's a win.
All right, this could be that kind of like quick, short. 5 minutes. Find the thing, get out, and if you find it, you win. The round
Yep,
anyway. Shoot peace signs to riot crowds to calm them. Non-violent shoot. Shoot rubber bullets at protesters. Yeah, that
that's
sounds really
violence.
violent. That sounds really violent. I thought of that too, actually. But yeah, that's clearly super violent.
No, rubber bullet these days are considered violence.
Yeah, man, you could take out someone's eye, You could blind him, you could kill him. How about you shoot him in the throat? He'll die. We can hand model the environment because we don't want to make it big. Well, if you hand model, the problem is that the map is always going to be the same. You don't have the resources in 2 days to model 100 maps, or the people to model 100 maps. So what you do is you design the building blocks to procedurally generate these kinds of maps. And then every time the player goes in, it's a different map because it looks different. It looks somewhat different. Because they look at the building blocks and they know, okay, this is the similar thing. But at least the map looks different. The location of the objective is different. It all can be randomized. So the gameplay is going to be a little bit different at least. So there's more replayability. Whereas if you hand do a map, you hand draw a map or hand level design a map, then you have to make more of these maps. Otherwise, gameplay is going to be just one map. It's going to be really boring.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the
But
procedural generation
honestly,
is just to make it more interesting and have more replayability.
To be fair, we don't even have to do that for this game jam. We could just have one level and we can say this is our demo. If we want to go further, we can go further.
Oh yes, we could do that. All right, why don't we just do this?
+1.
Why don't we just do
We
this?
have
Because
one-
the other one seems like I'm not even sure if it's gonna be fun. Because no combat means I don't know. It could still be a drama and spaceship thing, but struggling to see how it's going to be fun. This one, just blowing stuff up is already kind of amusing. We just need a more compelling gameplay mechanic to make it much more interesting, but it can be fun just running around blowing stuff up, watching stuff get blown up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe give the robot a grappling hook. Then you can grapple and smash through buildings.
Oh god, grapple to skyscraper and just vroom.
Just keep blowing stuff up on you. So it's basically a speed run game, right? So you drop on the
Pretty much.
planet, you have 5 minutes to get something. So you're just trying to find the fastest way to get to the objective. So you hardcore with a robot or something and destroy everything on the way there. Would be okay.
We could also we could also be like we don't have to find a shiny thing, but as much shiny things as possible, so that it will be like a high school system. The more shiny points you got, the better.
Yeah, I think so too, Anurag. So let's just start prototyping the blow stuff up game. And then along the way, we might think of a good thing to add to the game. But basically,
Yeah.
it'll be a blow stuff up to get something game. And then, once we go, we might think of a better idea. But, it's still going to be around blowing stuff up, except not humans and not buildings that have humans in it. So it's not violent. Hell, we won't even kill aliens because then, there's no violence.
We could also just make it like what do you call it? Like garbages, like destroy TVs, garbage, like
That
those.
sounds,
So
yeah, but that sounds violent, right? Destroying a TV set. Isn't that
broken
violent?
TV sets. I mean, it's the same as we destroying buildings by this point.
No, it's different. See, blowing up a TV set requires you to have an artist design damage states. Blowing up
Oh yeah.
buildings and structures, I have tools for that. There's a difference. It's a very big
Oh
difference.
yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
One
Fair
can be
enough.
done
So
programmatically, one has to be like, hey, you have to have $1 million and hire lots of artists to do. That's the difference. So we're looking for stuff we can do programmatically. Because we can't afford the artists. Actually, we have 2 of them, but yeah, there's no way they can do that in 2 days. All right, so let's just work on that.
all right.
All right, so it's going to be this game. Yeah, we only have like 3 lines of how it's playing out. We'll add more to it as we go. All right, so some of us are living in Asia. Anurag and me are in Asia, and right now it is
Yeah.
5:36
6 a.m.
a.m. Yeah, it's crazy. So we're gonna probably go to bed and come back some hours later, and then we'll start working out prototyping everything. But because our team is distributed, we have people all over the world. Austria, Estonia, and France
Mm,
and whatnot. So basically, we're gonna be working at different timings. So we'll have to at least set up some work goals before we, you know, appear, because otherwise, no one's gonna be doing anything. So I think what we need,
I'm
yeah,
yeah. I was just gonna say, I'm just gonna have to wait until I see your concept art for some or your demos so that I can actually try to make music based around it. But I have some ideas around
well,
it, so
okay.
I'll
So
just
let's go with like robots. So science fiction. So some science fiction style music, and you need to have like building destruction sound effects.
Mm,
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can do a bit of research, like what do structures sound like when they explode, or when they crumble, that kind of thing. So we need some of those sounds. So just these two things, to start with, like science fiction sounding music and blowing stuff up. So we're on an alien planet. So visualize this. You're on an alien planet in a robot, and we're moving very fast doing something. So that could already inspire some music. All right, for the art side, it's what we need to do is, what are we going to need? We're going to need alien structures, right? So alien hard surface modeling is what we're going to need. Let me create a sheet. Oh, yeah, wait, just use this sheet, this page anyway. All right, so up to. All right, so we're looking at alien hard surface modeling. Oh no, art just art required or something. Then thing next statues, alien statues. What else do we need? What else do we need? And run through the thing. So we need something that we are going to look for. Maybe it's like a power source or some kind of round, some kind of cool alien. Well, don't want it alien looking, right? Because it's supposed to be from Earth.
Right.
Yeah, right. They stole something from us, right? So we can't be stealing an alien looking thing that came from us. What do you think? What's the most important thing that they could steal from Earth? They can't possibly steal our nuclear reactors, right? The thing is too damn big. So
Water?
why would we go to a planet to steal water? How are we gonna bring it back?
AA batteries.
You stole my AA batteries. You're coming back. I flew all the way into space to take our AA batteries back.
It's a very special kind.
Right.
Uh,
Diamonds. Nah, that sounds really greedy. Just go all the way just to steal diamonds. Nah.
how about what do you
How
call
about
it?
some kind of like special crystal or something?
I was thinking
Antimatter.
something like a blueprint for what you
How
call it,
about
infinite.
crystals? How about like a special crystal? Some kind of cool. In fact, you don't even need to model this. This is like super easy. Well, you can model it, but this is super easy. Some kind of cool special glowy crystal thingy. You don't have to say what it is,
Yeah.
right? They
Maybe
stole it from us.
Just say it's a tiny gem. We need it back.
Yeah, we don't even need to model this. It's just primitives, and then you just need a fancy translucent shader thingy, and that'll work. Okay, so some kind of cool glowy thing they stole from us. We want it back. Paste. It back. Okay. All right. So they stole that from us. We want it back. Okay, and we should shift that down. Now this is going to be more for people reading it now. Okay, so what other art do we need? Alien looking buildings. Okay, and then do we want that grapple hook mechanic or some how about this? Booster jets on the mech, on the robot.
Yes.
Yeah, booster jets. So you're gonna run into stuff because you boost it, and then you know Flappy Bird, that kind of game where you boost and you don't really have much control once you're in the air, right? So you boost and then you're flying in one direction, but then you don't have control once you're in air. So basically you're going to be smashing into things as you're flying because you don't have full control in the air. You can just boost more. Either boost more or you boost less, but when you're in the air, you're just flying.
Oh god, you go out of control.
Yeah, so you just smash into things because you're out of control. But because grappling hook is going to be a lot of work to, yeah, like Angry Birds, right? A little bit out of control. You kind of decide on the direction you're going, and then you boost a certain amount of strength, and then that's it. You're just flying in the air in the one direction until you run out of booster, and you have to wait a while to recharge the booster. The grapple hook does sound like a fun idea, though. I'm not sure we can implement it in 2 days because that is a fair bit of work to have a grappling hook mechanic. What do you think, Anurag? Can you do that? Can you do a booster grappling hook thingy? Because I don't know if it's going to be doable and like looking pretty polished in 2 days. You think you can do it? Because I've seen in Reddit people who designed grappling hooks, and they were very polished, but those guys probably spent months doing it, or at least weeks doing it. Because grappling hook means you have to procedurally draw the grapple hook thingy, and then
You can steal from them.
you can steal from them. Alright, yeah, go to Reddit. There's like tons of people who show off their grapple hook mechanics. I have seen some of them. Some of them are really cool. Okay, so if we can have a booster jet and grapple hook, then this could be like a robot parkour in alien space game, right? So it's a and then we blow a lot of things up and smash a lot of things because because we're a robot and we smash through things. That's what we do.
Okay.
All right. So
from what
from art.
I'm understanding,
So okay. So we have
I need to make 2 music for this one then. One
boosted.
for when the game starts, and one when we are basically under 1 minute or something, which is basically going to be the faster
Yeah, the
version of
high
the.
pressure moment. And then you need one more for when you successfully get the thing and we win. You know the winning music, something like that.
Yeah, but that's a very simple. It could very well be like da 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 or something like that. To be honest.
But you can make better music, fancy music. Like fancy music. I'm not a
If
musician. I'll just
if
leave it to
I
you.
have if I have time, I'll promise I'll make
Okay.
fancy music. But
Okay, but try not to make those 8-bit Nintendo type music.
no
Doesn't fit
promises.
the robot. No, it doesn't fit the robot theme, man.
I have an
Hey,
idea.
I
It
saw it.
should
I
be
saw it, Anurag.
like,
I saw it. I saw it. So
mm,
we have So basically, okay. Let me just like define what we are. Who are we? We
okay,
are
I'll be right back.
in a big robot mech thingy. We have booster jets. We have booster jets on our feet. Or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter where. They're behind backpack. As backpack. Or okay, we grappling hook. Grappling hook. We have big robot mech thingy. We have booster jets. We have grappling hook. What else is there? Smash through things. Okay. Yeah. Looking for something. Install from it. Okay, so that can be it. So this is now core concept. We are in big robot thingy with booster jets and grappling hooks, and we smash through things. This is sci-fi robot sci-fi robot parkour game. With fully destructible Alien is okay. Sounds like a clearer vision thingy. Okay, so we just got shaders. Shaders, yeah, I got that shader. That's fine. So alien hard surface modeling for alien looking buildings, objects, statues. Yeah, it's coming together. So we need to be able to tell the art team what to make. So we need to have as many clear descriptions of the things we want. Pictures, images, screenshots, whatever. Just go around, pull some pictures from YouTube or Google or whatever, and then we can give them some direction. Otherwise, we're gonna be sleeping and they're gonna be like, I don't know what to do. So we have to give them clearer direction. Other than being online and telling them, we have to pull from information so they can work whenever they want. While we are, because it's yeah. Pictures would be good too. Let's go Google. Google. What do we Google for? Alien. Okay. Now we don't want it to look like there are people inside. We need to find some kind of architectural thing that doesn't look like there's anybody inside. But that looks like it could. You guys have the link to this, so you can also paste stuff here. Thing you can find. Sense. Yeah, we don't want to make it look like there's going to be people inside. But then again, the story is that they are going to self-destruct the planet, right? So it should be empty, kinda. Oh, how about that? We can even... Oh wait, no, that's right. We can't have turrets shooting at you to increase the pressure. You can't really. No violence. Can't have violence. That looks... Nah, that looks kinda... Alien through pyramids? Wow, there are not that many good examples on alien architecture. Doesn't really... That. Not that alien looking. How about this? This looks like structured. Looks kind of a... Why statues? Oop. Nerf. Ah, that looks more like a block of buildings. It look a bit more alien-y than that.
Ah,
Yeah.
so we decided then.
Yeah. We're doing a blow up the world in a parkour robot kind of game. So it's an action game with no combat. We just have to find something and get off. So it's a speed run. I guess you could call it a robot racing game. Yeah, robot parkour / racing game.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll try to play around with music for now then.
Yeah,
And then
the
I'll
the
probably
the,
go to
the
sleep.
overarching concept is it's science fiction. So I guess start with
Mm,
the science fiction mood and feel for it.
yeah. Science fiction. I'll probably have some electric guitar on it, so on and so forth. Okay. I'll experiment around and then I'll probably go to sleep an hour or two from now.
All right. Yeah. Right now I'm
Right.
just trying to fill out some information
Okay.
with
Then
the
I'm gonna head
artist.
out and try it then.
Yeah,
Talk
sure.
to you later then.
No worries, man. Thanks for jumping in.
Bye.
See you soon. All right, so guys, I don't know what else. Maybe find some more. Yeah, that looks kind of very alien. Alrighty. Ah, that looks pretty alien. All right. All right. Hopefully, our Ukrainian artist is still here. Are you still? I don't know. He's kind of quiet. He doesn't talk. Type. So we're designing a robot, so it should work much better for them anyway, since they've never done character art. It's easier for them to do hard surface mode. Okay, we'll pick robot mech player character. The player's inside with the designer robot. A cute little robot? Well, how is a cute little robot going to be destroying everything he runs into? Abstract. Yeah, actually, I don't mind. I don't mind. I mean, whatever cool concept we come up with, I guess it's fine. As long as it's a giant robot, I guess. It can't look alien though. It has to look like it's been made by, puny earthlings because we are not the aliens. We're the humans. Aliens are the guys that have to look alien. So yeah, and we have like a grapple hook. We need to be more descriptive. One arm has a built-in grapple hook. Actually, don't we have this description here? That should be plenty. Well, we hope so. Because we're gonna be asleep when they go brainstorm this stuff, so hopefully they get the idea. I thought you didn't want procedural generation. I thought you wanted to hand build a level. I don't want to hand build levels because then people play it one time and they've seen it all before. I like to procedurally generate everything. So we just need to design one level and then just proc gen the whole thing over and over again. So basically they'll never see the same thing twice. We can swap the assets around. So like sometimes there's different plants, sometimes there's different buildings. So it looks like it's a whole different place. So we'll use two core assets for this, Ray Fire and Digger. I'll sync these two, and then we'll just work on that. Where were we? Okay, so I've downloaded Rayfire. Dig out. Nope, haven't downloaded it yet. I can handle the landscape generation. So I'll do the procedural generation on the maps and the scene. But we need assets. Package manager dependencies. Oh, I hate that. What dependencies do you want? Tell me. Alright, I'll install. I hate it when they don't tell me what packages are being installed. I don't know what they added to my package manifest. I have to go check, find out what the heck they added to it. I hate it when they do that. But if I don't, then I have to go through another step of finding out what asset I need. I mean, what kind of what package I need to install to get this to work, right? Wait, what? Oh, okay. NavMesh components editor added to the main navigation package. Interesting. Yeah, you do the character gameplay. The robot controller. Actually, robot control. I have something for that too. Actually, I have something for that. I have a proceed. What do I have it now? I don't know. But never mind. Yeah, you work on the character. You work on the character. If I find some assets for that, I'll send it to you. Oh, I'll just sync it, and then you can just grab it from the repo. I remembered having some assets for like procedural robot animation. Yeah, but anyway, I'll do it when I wake up. I'm sure you're gonna go sleep anyway, so we'll all work on it when we get up. But the artists are probably going to be awake. I'm not sure what the time is over there in Europe. Oh yeah, we can do animation rigging. Yeah. There's animation rigging too. Let's tree. Haven't used it yet, but I know what it does. Animation rigging. Yeah, this would be good for what we want to do. IK stuff. I've got assets for that too, but since Unity has that, let's play with that and learn how to use animation rigging. Fun. Oh, the IK constraints and all that. Yeah, let's play with that. Did it? Why does it still say import? Click it, didn't I? There you go. Okay, let's push these. Alright. Everything. Let's see. Install. What did I install? Where did I install? Here. And Script Inspector 3. Yep. And animate. Alright, so everything is in. You probably should start downloading before you pass out. Alright. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We haven't done any development yet, but we did explore some ideas and some concepts. And we're going to be working with two interesting packages, Rayfire for Unity and Digger, which will give us a combination of overland destruction as well as terrain destruction. And hopefully that will make for an interesting game. We don't know yet. Hopefully it'll make for an interesting game. Since we had to design this from scratch with no prior because of the curveball they threw us when they told us to design a game with no violence. Every game I ever thought of has violence in it. So yeah, designing a game I never thought I would do. Anyway, that's that for it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys again real soon. Take care now. Bye bye.